here we go.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? Tony Dunn here. C3 Panthers Podcast, living on Tuesday night, 9 p.m. We're not under the best of circumstances. Tonight I came in here ready to will Panther Nation into a second wind, and now there's just more things sucking the wind out of our sails, and it sucks as it cuts, as old Wayne said, with the sucking cut. All right, guys, you're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast. I got my homeboys here tonight. Cody Lashney in the house. How you doing?
Tony Dunn. I wish I could say I was doing better concerning my Carolina Panthers. We're going to have some very real moments tonight. Evaluate the future of this team. Evaluate the future of Cam Newton, and a player that we all have a ton of respect for. The chat room is lit up with all the faithfuls. Underground West, Nova Black, Legacy Lynn, Richard's Outdoor World. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, Tony Dunn. Let's roll.
Greg, how's it going, my man?
I'm doing all right, man, but I can't follow that.
I know. He came in firing studs. Yeah.
If take away last week in fantasy football, I'd probably be doing a whole lot better. But, yeah, man, I'm ready to talk some Panthers.
All right, where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter.
I'm at cat_chronicles, and Cody is Cody, CODLAC. Guys, tonight's show, you know what, is I did not tonight's show was originally called Panthers Hope to Kill State Bird, and the idea is we're going to Arizona. It's an opportunity against a team that has not been looked upon by the league as that good, has yet to find their first win, if I'm right. And, you know, new coach, new quarterback, an opportunity for the Panthers to bounce back, get out of Charlotte, get out of North Carolina, get the stank off of them, and get the smell of a W. But unfortunately, today's news dealing with Cam Newton and the cryptic, mysterious injury, or cryptic, mysterious reasons that Cam is not going to be starting, and sounds like potentially is on the not in the near future, possibly starting for the Carolina Panthers. It's a bizarre situation. So it's Cam Newton locked in, loaded from the beginning of the show, pretty much throughout. But we also had a great show lined up before all this happened. Tonight, we've got former NFL player and Major League Baseball player Ed Smith, former tight end for he was on the 98 Atlanta Falcons when they won the NFC Championship. And he's an Arizona media member, Arizona Cardinals member. He has the Believe in Cardinals podcast. His name's Ed Smith. You can follow him at Ed Smith Speaks. He's going to be coming on at 9:30 to kind of give us some insight, into the birds, those Cardinals that we're trying to kill, Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, what the heck is going on with David Johnson's wrist. Where is that front office at? We got a lot of questions for him, but until then, it's Cam Newton and panic or whatever we are. We got to figure out where we're at. All right. The C3 Panthers Podcast, go ahead and smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, be a part of the show. You can participate in the chat room with one of the livest chat rooms in Panther Nation. And you can be a part of the show by calling into the cat calls. The line is 252-228-5098, and it's locked and loaded tonight. A lot of people are interested in, we're all here. We're all eyes. We're all ears. And Cody, what are we all eyes and ears about, dude? The news today breaks that Cam Newton's at practice, and then it's out of practice, and then in like 4 minutes, it snowballed into Cam Newton's not even going to be playing against the Arizona Cardinals this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this, a bunch of things happened, and it's such a weird timeline of events. After Thursday night, you let it age and you get away from the football game. And then Sunday happens. And then Drew Brees breaks his finger. And now all of a sudden the NFC South doesn't look as insurmountable as it did before. And then, Tony and I were gonna do the show tonight. And I told Tony and Greg, we should do a reset show, reset our emotions, try and look at the positive and be confident about the Panthers going forward. And then, man, here comes this haymaker coming from the right that no one sees coming. And if you follow me on Twitter, at Cody Lack, CODYLAC on Twitter, I already put this out. But honesty is my new policy, man. And, I mean, it's always been my policy, but I'm not letting my bias interfere with my opinions. And I honestly feel that we're watching the final moments of
Hush.
career.
Hush. You can't.
I don't want.
Why do you think it's that bad? Why do you think we're at that point already? Answer me that.
Because no one knows what's wrong. You and I were debating, is this a mental thing? Is this something that is, in Cam Newton's head? Is he healthy? Is it a combination of all of those things? The fact that we don't know and that no one knows and he's not practicing. Do y'all remember when Cam didn't practice for New Orleans at the end of last season? A terrible performance. How are the Panthers going to move forward with Cam Newton in the state that he's in right now? I don't know. It doesn't seem smart. It doesn't seem reasonable. And I don't know. This feels different than every other Cam Newton incident that we've had in the past few years.
So what happens today is that Cam Newton does not come to practice. And let me clarify this. Lynn says this. Is it official he's not playing Sunday against the Cardinals? No, it's not official. As you're correct. He's listed as day-to-day. But if you and I'm sure Lynn watched the press conference. I mean, she follows it just as close as we do. But if you saw Ron Rivera's press conference today, actually here, he was very cryptic. And what I mean, he didn't have anything to say, first of all. So I don't know if you can be cryptic with nothing. But he acted like this, is that he really didn't understand what was going on. He just said, well, Cam's been getting treatment. Just found out today he wasn't going to be practicing. And we're prepared. He really spoke in a way that implied that Cam would not be playing this weekend. Like he was not expecting. He wasn't saying, look, the foot is bothering him and we're going to see how treatment goes. He said that in the back ends, but he was like, I just don't know what's going on. And it sounds to me that there is something behind the scenes there, maybe between Cam and himself, Cam and the team, Cam and the coaching staff, Cam and I don't know, but something is bizarre, Greg. It smells of something more than just a sore foot. We're talking about the man who played after a car crash with a cracked back. We're talking about a man that we've seen take helmet to the head, helmet to the back, helmet to the grill, everywhere, and get up in pain and will himself through it. What we saw, to be honest, a minor foot injury, if it's not broken, if it's not a Liz Frank, it's still it's a foot sprain. Isn't it surprising, Greg, that Cam Newton wouldn't just power through that? Does that show some fatigue on his end? Or where the heck is it? Where are we at? Are you worried beyond just Sunday?
Well, to touch on what both of y'all are saying here, I am a little worried myself, but not necessarily that Cam is done. But I can understand somebody feeling that way because it's been so long since we've seen him be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lost 8 straight games. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 4 straight games. And that's a big deal. Now, I can say there are 4 Hall of Fame quarterbacks that have had 8-game losing streaks before. So that doesn't mean that he can't come back to greatness.
Right,
but I think it's kind of a recency bias. Huh?
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think after Sunday or Thursday, I wasn't going, oh, I'm worried that Cam Newton might never come back, period. I never had that thought. I just thought, oh, crap, we're dealing with something. Something ain't right. It's going to take a while. But now, he's not even I just felt like all of a sudden my optimism, whatever I could conjure up at the moment, I can't conjure any up. And you're right. It's been so long. And I think that might be the problem for Cam. It's been so long since he's had Juju.
It almost looks like he's lost his passion for the game. Like, I hate saying it, but when Cam's happy, he plays really well. I haven't seen him with a smile on his face during a game in a long time. You know,
A long time. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was finished. Good.
Well, and it's hard to not draw the Andrew Luck comparisons when we just saw this happen. So what part of the reason why Andrew Luck retired is he started having a calf injury, and then they thought that it was one thing, and then it was another thing. So now we're questioning even the nature of the foot injury. Was it just a sprain? Is it something more than that? If he needs to go see a specialist, then it seems that it's something even more than what we were fearing that it was. I mean, I can't put enough emphasis on this. It's his right foot. That's your load foot. You put all your weight and pressure on that foot.
Oh, come on. Cam has been throwing off his back foot his whole career. I
think
that was a funny joke. That was a funny joke.
But listen, and look, that adds to the point, though. I mean, if Cam Newton is going to be Cam Newton and, make these off-platform throws that he's been able to do for the majority of his career, man, that's an important injury to have happen to you. This on the heels of a shoulder repair, not being able to run and feel like himself. I just, I don't want to be a pessimist. And of course I want Cam Newton to come back and break records and do all the things that we've always felt that he was going to do after that MVP season. But my rational mind doesn't see it that way, or at least wonders how that's going to happen, because it doesn't look good right now.
All right,
I gotta ask you,
go ahead, Greg. Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you think the not running thing is because he's being instructed to, or do you think he still has the option, like the coaches still give him the freedom to make that decision, and he personally isn't doing that?
But there are far less designed runs, and that's obvious. But I do feel that, he's not even scrambling to make a play on his own. And that's been a part of his gameplay for a long time, and he's not doing that. Now, I do feel there's a concerted effort on the part of our coaches to be more of a drop-back passing quarterback, and Cam is 100% on board with that. And I've never doubted his ability to do it, but it feels as though now that they're trying to make that transition, it's these injuries are making that process take even longer than before.
All right, so in the chat room, it was someone who brought it up. They said, look, we're 0-1,000 when Cam doesn't run it. And, of course, he didn't run it because he didn't run it because he was, of course, he's unhealthy, his foot. Here's my thing. I'm not denying that Cam is dealing with injury. Right? I mean, I think that is clear. Every football player is. I thought the shoulder was doing better than maybe it is. And while this foot may be problematic, the way we're seeing and talking about it and the feel of it sounds like it's a major injury, but we have no reason to believe it's a major injury. Right? And so that's what it is. It's like, how is this so much to where, why is it, if this was just a sore foot, isn't Rod coming out and say, look, we're really hoping that he's going to be back. We're preparing like he could be back, but we're also going to have Kyle Allen ready in case he can't. He's day to day. He's improving. Things are getting worse. Things are getting better. No, it was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't even know what team I coach. I don't know who my quarterback is. I don't even know the name of the doctor. And it was so bizarre. And so to me, that suggests there is something more than just the injury. So I think this is a combination of foot, shoulder, and soul. And there is, like we've talked about the passion part. We've talked about the mental part. We've looked at, if you look at his video that you put out on the blog, it's freaking bizarre too. Right? I didn't get past minute 5 because you sent it to me right by the show. But you're trying to tell me after the worst effing performance in Cam Newton's whole life that he puts out a video that starts with him like, oh, this was a tough game, blah, blah. And then it goes, hey, let's talk about my hats and my fucking clothes and this and that. And then back to, you just got to deal with this. It seemed like that mug has been body snatched. Cam Newton has been stolen from us. The Cam Newton that we know, somebody has taken him. They have replaced his soul with an alien. They have replaced his soul with a dang Matt Ryan and cross-dressing clothes. I don't know what it is, but there is something to this that we know. If we know the Cam and the Warrior, right? And we know Cam the Warrior. We've seen it. We lived it. Is that if we know that that's the case, he's trying to fight to get back. It seems like the fight is gone. Now, last question, because we got to drop into the cat calls, because we got Ed Smith, former NFL a tight end, host of the Believe in Cardinals podcast. Ed Smith's going to come on to help us preview the Arizona Cardinals. And if you're interested in that interview, go ahead and smash the thumbs up button and hang around to 8:30. Share the show. We need to grow Panther. This is the time that we're going to embrace each other and grow together. Now, the final, what was I going to say? I had one other thing I was going to say, I thought. Were we going to cat calls? I don't know.
You were going to say that Moneybags lost and says that Sober Tony is too rational.
Sober Tony also loses his thoughts. All right, let's jump into these cat calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
It just hit me.
After you took a sip of beer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Hi guys, Rich here. So I stayed
What's
up
up, Rich?
3:30 in the morning and that only got me to half time. Oh my god.
This is after Thursday.
Anyway, I mean, I was at the point of wondering whether I should sell my ticket for London at like a 400% markup. But I felt much better listening to the podcast and listening to Tony's drunken rants, which were fantastic. Cody, I'm with you as well. I've been talking about this since last year. Ron Rivera's a defensive coordinator. Norv Turner's probably past his sell-by date. That trick play at the end. You want to do a trick play? Run Dontare Poe up the middle. The guy's 300.
There you go.
Put him and Alex Armour behind each other just to push Cam over. I mean, if you want to mess around, running sideways, right? I played high-level rugby. Running sideways, you are such an easy target. You are not balanced. You can't make the contact. Christian McCaffrey bounces people head on. When you get hit from the side, you've got no resistance to it. It was a ridiculous play call. It was like how to be super smart, aren't I great? And it wasn't. I'm totally with. I've just listened to the podcast. I'm totally with your guy in Utah. If you're listening to me as well, hello mate. Yeah, really anguish going on. Cam's accuracy was horrendous. I mean
he has not heard about the news yet.
Watched the highlights and in a tiny package you seem to hit Greg Olsen a couple of times, but yeah, the dynamism. I mean, you know, in comparison, the long pass to Curtis Samuel, you know, most quarterbacks would have stuck that out there and Curtis would have scored a touchdown. I mean, you know, not just Mahomes, but you know, Jared Goff, who's kind of okay as long as he's clean and stuff like. Really, I don't know if the shoulder's gone or what's going on with Cam, but you know, I know everybody's a massive Cam defender. I know you guys are, but an honest evaluation, if he can't run, because remember when we talk about how great he is, we always add the running stats and the touchdowns.
Yeah, you got to. It's part of his game.
All right, you know, he sees things well, but my God, if he can't run and he's losing confidence as well, like you said it, below the Dalton line. You know, it's a worry. He can bounce back because we know he can bounce back. But, oh, my God. Anyway, you know, I'm not sure about the pressure coming from the D-line either. It doesn't look like it's massive. I think Irvin coming back will help. Luke was a monster. Like you, worried about Dante Jackson. He got burnt a load. I know Bradbury got done for a long one, but yeah, Dante's getting picked on. I think that's a bit of a worry.
He's too confident at times.
I just hope it improves.
Okay, so here,
catch him live, and I get.
So this is the call that comes in before the cam. I mean, this came in. Rich set this call maybe on Friday or Saturday, right after our post game. Now, here's the thought that came to me. Oh God, if I lost it again, holy fuck! Hold on, let me take a sip of my beer.
Take a slam. Get your head right.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Podcast.
Panther Nation, how y'all doing? This is G of RCA.
What's up,
Really
G?
quick, man. I'm still pissed off about the Tampa Bay game, man. It's so crazy to me, man, that the rain caused them camera angles to be at a certain position. Because I don't give a damn what nobody says, man. When Cam reached out for that first down, that was the first down.
That was the first down.
About the camera angles. I mean, they tell me the refs couldn't see that was the first down because he reached out. That dude was 6'5", and he reached out. That wasn't the first down. To me, that was the first down, and I don't give a damn. They should have called a quarterback sneak instead of doing that damn naked bootleg ghost shit or whatever the hell Ron Rivera said. There was no way in hell if I was the head coach, I would have done that play. I would have told Norv Turner, shut the hell up. I'm the head coach. We're doing a quarterback sneak. You know what I'm saying? Cam Newton is 6'5", 250 something, man. That's a big boy, man. He's like a damn linebacker. You mean to tell me he couldn't go forward? And this is my opinion. To me, that lets me know that he's daggone hurt. I was watching the press conference today with Ron Rivera on Panthers.com, and he was saying, they realized that his foot was hurt after the game. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, man. That's bullshit. The dude that hasn't taken off running at all.
We have to talk about that.
When he did, he fumbled, whatever, man. A healthy Cam, a 2014-15 Cam, damn well he would have went for that quarterback sneak. So they could say what they want to say. I don't believe it, man. I think Cam is hurt. Do I think he can bounce back? Yes, I think he can bounce back. Me personally, I think he can. Because I'm going to let everybody know this, everybody listening, and y'all too listening right now, man. I am a Panthers fan. I'm not just a Cam Newton fan. I'm a Panthers fan, okay? And it's like this. If he was struggling that daggone bad, looking hideous, why don't you just pull the damn quarterback and put the backup in? Because y'all remember 2003, Ronnie Pete was laying a damn goose egg. He was laying eggs against Jacksonville. When John Fox would shake that De La Home and look what the hell happened.
But he didn't want to, though.
Jake De La Home, anything like that. Be a head coach.
I love the way he says that.
Man. You a head coach for a reason. And the fans, we deserve better than this shit. Me personally, I think we could beat Arizona. I think our defense will win that game for us. In my opinion, if we can't beat a damn rookie coming out of college, then we have a damn problem. So, y'all give me y'all opinions on that. And another thing, we need to get rid of Eric Washington. Keep him as the defensive line head coach. Be a defensive coordinator. He is horrible, man. He is horrible. He is horrible, man. So that's the elephant in the room. Do not let Eric Washington call any damn defensive plays. Let Ron do that shit. Keep pounding.
All right. Yeah, thanks, G. Long-time caller, show favorite friend of ours, and always a great caller. He's talking about clearly Cam Newton's injured. It's bullshit to say that Ron Rivera just found out about it after the game. Here's my question, you guys. We did a post-game show, right? I mean, it was late, and I was lit, but I do remember doing the post-game show. Now, I was only lit because I had to go to the bar and watch the game because of some stupid stuff. And I just found out that Amazon Prime does Thursday night games, so now I don't ever have to do that again. But when we watched that game, yes, we said something's clearly wrong with Cam. It could be injury, but none of us said it was distinctly and clearly a hobbled Cam Newton. What we said is Cam Newton was awful. And I understand that injuries can make you awful, but how do they make you that awful? If you're hobbling, look, I've seen a game. I think I might have been at the game where the Byron Leftwich played the ECU Pirates. It was a bowl game I was watching on TV. He broke his ankle, and they had the lineman carrying his ass up, and he played the next play. Did he look like he was when he was healthy? No, but he, like, I don't see like Cam like gingering that foot. I don't see Cam doing anything like, oh God, my shoulder, the motion. It's like something's just not working. Like his body is not working, but it doesn't look like he's necessary. Does he look like he's limping?
So
Moneybag says he wants Drunk Tony after every post game. I can't. I'm gonna get fired from my job.
Well, see,
my name is Tony. My name is Ton. I got to come up with a new name where it's like I do my name and I switch the letters around or something.
So, pertaining to what my man was talking about, I'm not a believer in either of these head coaches, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think Cam Newton re-aggravated the foot injury during the game. There was a specific point in the game that I think it was when he was moving out of bounds and throwing the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, Joe Person tried to identify the play, but you can't even really see anything.
Joe Person said that it was an overthrow, which it wasn't.
My point is this, though. If Cam Newton is not telling about these injuries and not letting people know that
this was J-Dub's point,
then he's putting the team in a worse spot by giving them a flawed version of himself, a not capable Cam Newton. Then it's on him. But like everyone else has said, no one believes that Ron Rivera didn't know the extent of the foot injury.
Do you believe truly that while we understand that Ron would be encouraging, while he would want Cam Newton to play, correct? I mean, he didn't want that Cam Newton to play. I guarantee you that, right?
Well,
but at the same time, it does not seem like he has enough. Unless he has, like you said, brainwashed Cam, how does he really truly have enough to get Cam? If this isn't super major, I don't know. I don't feel like this is abuse by the coaching staff. Like, oh, we shot him up. It doesn't even look like you shoot Cam up with painkillers and he gets any better.
Right.
Here's the thing: is we're kind of putting it in a very tough position because, in one hand, we're saying, why isn't Ron Rivera playing him? He doesn't look that injured. But in the other hand, we're saying, well, if he's injured, he shouldn't be playing. And if he gets injured while he's playing, and it was because he was injured, Ron Rivera made him play while he was injured, then we're going to get mad they played him. But if they don't play him, I mean, it's really tough, man. Like, we put him in a no-win situation,
I understand.
I want to touch on one part of that call that we hadn't talked about. Why is it that the refs don't have the same views that the public does?
I don't know.
Why can't they see what we see on TV?
I thought that they did, and I thought that whenever the cameras went out in the stadium because of the rain delay or the lightning delay, that they weren't able to see the best angles that showed Cam Newton reaching for the first down. So, something that had nothing, we had nothing to do with a weather delay ended up causing us a first down early on.
All right, we're about ready to move. Yeah, do not ever say that again. All right, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We are going to be moving on to the next segment of the show right after this break, but I do want to encourage you guys this. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the show, be a part of the show by participating in the chat room, and call into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We've got like 20 calls after our guest tonight. Hey, and I even had somebody shout out to the fan today that the first so we sell these t-shirts, guys, if you're listening, like casually. We make a t-shirt for our fantasy football league every year, and I always order some extras, and then I end up selling them. I've had these, we made these I Stand With Cam t-shirts. We made these in 2016. Now, this was after the Denver Broncos were targeting his head. The dang refs weren't calling nothing. Every year, the meaning of this t-shirt has changed. Right? It's been, if it's the ref in the head, if it's the shoulder, if it's the fans and the backups or whatever the hell it is. And right now, one person bought this shirt today. It was the first shirt, I Stand With Cam shirt, sold in like a year. That is a true damn fan right there. So shout out I don't want to give their name out because that's probably not right. It's like whatever. But you could get your I Stand With Cam. There's only like 8 left. Hey, they're a limited edition. So go ahead and be a part of the show. Stand With Cam. Oh, and did you see this other one right here? This is this year's shirt. Keep pounding, right? Because celebrating our trip to London, and it was a lot cooler when Cam was potentially going to be part of our team. All right, let's move on to the show. We've got a guest tonight, guys. Special guest tonight, Ed Smith. You can follow him at Ed Smith Speaks, former tight end for the Falcons. Boo. But awesome. Awesome. Two-sport professional player, several teams, the NFL as well as Major League Baseball. Ed Smith, host of Believe in Cardinals podcast. Welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here with you fellas.
So, Ed, you tell us a little bit about what you do. I know you have a role in Arizona. How did you get into your media role in following the Arizona Cardinals? What implanted you in Arizona?
Well, I've been out here for about 16 years now. Floated around for a bunch of years before that in terms of where I was located, but finally made home here. I have a radio show on NBC Sports Radio 1060 AM every Saturday from 10 to 12, and this opportunity was presented to myself and my Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast teammate. He's actually my radio co-host as well. Presented to us to cover these Cardinals, and we thought it'd be a lot of fun. Obviously, with everything we got going on out here, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. So, it's been a good start to the season in terms of stuff to talk about. I'm not going to say on the field has been great so far, but obviously we've had a good time in terms of following what they do with the Cardinals.
So tell us where the Cardinals are at right now. And just actually, before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host tonight. Cody Lashney's on the mic. Say what's up, Cody.
Ed, how you doing, brother?
Good, Cody. Good to meet you, man.
And we got Greg Schlager. We call him the Bat Daddy. What's up, Greg? Anyway, Greg, say hello. I feel like I'm telling my children to say hello. I've got 3 kids.
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
All right, so tell us this. We brought you on because we're playing there as the Panthers are going, and sorry if, this crazy news broke today with the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton. The things have become more than complicated. But we were really, or even when we had contacted you and we were prepared for tonight's show a couple of days ago, this was a show where we were going to try to bring the fan base back to optimism. This is a time. Look, the Carolina State bird, North Carolina State bird is the cardinal. The name of the show tonight was Panthers set to eat cardinals, right? Or eat state bird. That's what the title of the show was. And we were going to try to rah it, and then Cam, this crazy news comes out about Cam. So let's turn our focus to the Arizona Cardinals. Where are you guys at as an organization right now? Started out 0-2 with a new quarterback and a new coach. Just where are the Arizona Cardinals at in this part of the season?
Well, actually, we're 0-1-1. We have to take credit.
Oh, that's right. It was the tie. That's right.
Even though I think that's the worst thing in all of professional sports is a tie in football. So that doesn't even count. Where we are right now, man, we're in that zone where we just don't know what we're going to get from week to week. Obviously they kept a lot under the behind the curtain as far as the preseason. They were talking about this offense was going to revolutionize, the NFL and have everybody on their toes. And, we're going to see things we've never seen before. Thus far, we haven't seen that out here. We're in a state of kind of that holding pattern in terms of the offense, just still trying to figure it out, find out what Kyler Murray is, find out what Cliff Kingsbury is. Thus far, they've been able to move the ball a bunch during, in between the 20s, struggled in terms of scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Running game has kind of been just invisible, if you want to call it that. We've got issues on the defensive side of the ball. So our concerns, I know you guys are going through that immediate trauma of what's going on with Cam, and that in itself can just destroy a week. But right now out here, we're just thinking we're continuing to try to figure out what the next 14 games hold for us, because it could be, we could be looking at the same type of season we had last year when we ended up winning that number 1 overall pick. Unfortunately, nobody wants that, but at the same time, we could win 6, 7, 8 games. It's just so unknown out here just because of what we've seen so far. And, I'm just kind of shaking my head. I have a lot of thoughts on offensively, defensively, even coaching wise, what's going on. But I'm sure we'll get into that as we continue on with this talk.
Well, as you mentioned that and certainly every team and every fan base has that kind of unknown element to the season. You're trying to gauge that, but when you get a number 1 draft pick and a quarterback like Kyler Murray coming in, there's a lot of excitement. There was a lot of buzz coming into the season, and then I felt like all of a sudden it tailored off with that one false start call with the clapping in the preseason, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, you know what, this ain't gonna work. But and then they were and then Cliff King, right? So you go from crazy optimism to now everybody's like, hey, the Cardinals suck. My question to you is just this: is there a faith in what you've seen so far? It's a very small sample set, but just that the team's going to get better from week to week, because that's what you want in a team like that, right? Is that like you can't go. We don't expect teams to go from 2 wins to the playoffs. What you really want is a team to go to 6 wins this year, 8 wins the next year, 11 wins the following year.
Well, you hit it right on the head. For me, it's nobody out here has pipe dreams of playoffs or winning a Super Bowl. Those are like fantasy dreams. We know that's not where we are. What I want to see each and every week is competition, and thus far they've given it to us. We've had signs that they're going to stay in some of these games. What happens as we move forward, though, is they're going to have to establish an identity, and then we'll get more comfortable. We're seeing. I don't want to see every other week a different game plan or a different tempo or those type of things. The thing about it is if they'll give us hope. One, by staying in these games. I'm a little alarmed because every game they're falling behind early, and that you can't do that and then expect to stay in the majority of the games. But if they can stay in the games, be competitive, it gives us hope that we're inching in the right direction, especially after last year when it was one of the most abysmal seasons, offensively, defensively, special teams, coaching, you name it. It was just a horrible thing to watch. So as long as we see progress out here, I think we're going to be okay. We'll grade it, I guess, week to week. A lot of times with a team like, some of those upper echelon teams, you have your early season goals, it's playoffs or bust. And you kind of do it on a quarterly basis. We'll after the first 4, we'll mark ourselves here. After the next 4, out here, man, seriously, we're going week to week.
Before we go any further into who the Cardinals are right now, and obviously we have more questions about Kyler and Kingsbury and just your overall thoughts about the team, but we need to talk about Steve Wilks for a minute. Because obviously Steve Wilks had the Carolina connection. He was the defensive coordinator here, and then he was hired to be the head coach of the Cardinals. From our perspective, we kind of view it as, man, they're going to fire a guy after one season.
With no talent.
There wasn't a lot of talent on the football team. He didn't really get a fair shake, so to say, but I don't want to project that. What do Cardinals fans, how did they feel about Steve, and what was your assessment on the man as a coach?
As far as the fans out here, they're all results based. So, they're looking at the product on the field, not a lot of insight into what he was dealing with and what he took over. So for them, it was, he stinks, get him out of here. And on the flip side, for me, I felt the man's pain. What he took over in terms of just the organization in general. And I know people forget it all starts at the top. Our leadership, meaning the front office, has not made it easy for any head coach, and there's a reason why Bruce Arians decided to get out of here when he had, pretty much established himself. He just couldn't. I don't think he could take it anymore in terms of what we were seeing from the front office. Wilks comes in, and I will preface it with this: he might have been a little over his skis a little bit, just because this was probably one of the toughest first-time jobs to take over. We look at some of the other first-time head coaches, and they take over cushy positions with established front office, talent on the field. It's an easier transition, because what happens a lot of time with these coordinators, they come into a position where now they're the CEO, where they're not just looking over the offense or the defense or the special teams. They're now in charge of every aspect of everything that's going on. And what happens is it's a little overwhelming, So the biggest problem for Wilks was he came into almost an unwinnable situation.
Yeah, impossible.
Yeah, and it was almost like a mercy killing. After last season, it was like, man, I'm glad he got out of here, just to save himself. And obviously, he's moved on, and we wish him luck. But the fans, they'll look at it as like he was a total failure. For me, who's somebody who looks at it from the outside, looking what he took over, he really got a raw deal out here in Arizona.
Yeah, so interesting. Just follow up on that side note to Arizona Cardinal fans is for a guy that was in over his head who had NFL experience. Now you went and got a guy who has no NFL experience. But second is the Cardinals had something like 420 roster moves last year. Like their team just completely fell apart. So they were not only bad to start with. So my follow up question to you, Ed, about Steve Wilks is after that hire and fire, this kind of, to me, it seemed like maybe it was if you only give a guy that window, you never believed in him in the first place. Yeah. So does the front office get egg on their face for making a poor decision and then giving up or giving up too quick or not giving any support, or were they astute enough to realize that it wasn't going to ever work?
The Arizona Cardinals front office has tripped into every move that they've made, and it's like tripping in the dark. It's not like they didn't even see the object they were falling over. Throwing the factor that not only did we have a first-year head coach last year, we had Josh Rosen, who they moved up to draft in the first round, right?
Yeah.
So
and now he's gone.
The following year, you repeat the process. It's like wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Yeah.
So they go out and they get a brand new head coach, rookie head coach, who's never done before, and they draft the number 1 overall pick as far as quarterback. And the dude they just drafted last year, who they have playing behind this horrible offensive line, horrible offensive scheme, they just toss him to the wind, and they take a hit out here. They try to hide behind a lot of the goodwill they always try to do. They have certain players, and we've got our Fitzgeralds and certain players, so they always promote those guys to hide the fact that they've done a horrible job in terms of, even with this past year's draft. And I'll bring this up and set up real quick. Instead of going out and shoring up your offensive line, you go out and you draft the number 1 quarterback with the number 1 pick, but then you don't address the offensive line until the 4th or 5th round or whatever it is. You go get wide receivers and D-backs when somebody's going to have to protect this man. So, for anybody who's watching, it's like, wow, they just continue to do it, man. And it just continues to get piled. They just continue to add on to the futility out here as far as making the proper moves, putting the right people in the right places.
So let me ask you about. Let me just jump in one thing, Greg. So you mentioned the offensive scheme that you're in. How do you feel about Kyle Kingsbury and this brand new offense? Because I do some scouting for DraftTech.com, and I'm a fan of these kinds of offenses and the points that they can produce, even though the season hasn't started the way you wanted it to, and even though the offensive line is porous, are you at least hopeful that once this offense really starts to fire up, that with this quarterback and this coach, that it has the potential to be a pretty potent, high-powered offense?
Gentlemen, I am so worried about this offense for a couple different reasons. One, through the first 2 games, I think they've had 102 passing plays, 34 runs. And of those runs, a couple of those were scrambles by Kyler Murray. So they count as runs even though they start out as passing plays. There's no way that you're going to
win in the NFL like that
with no running game. And then, we've got all kind of issues with the running game because your offensive line stinks. I don't like this pistol formation, quarterback never under center. Do we have the right running back for this particular offense? Those are all the questions on top of, hey, wait a minute. Do we realize that although this is a passing league with this up-tempo and stuff like that, we still have to run the ball. And part of their futility, even in the red zone, is the closer they get to the end zone, the harder it is for them to punch it in because everything is in shotgun and pistol. When it comes down to getting those 4th and 1s or those 3rd and goals and 4th and goals, can you line up man to man and punch them in? And I haven't seen that. For them to survive throughout this year with that type of tempo, one, it's going to put a lot of stress on their defense because you're going to have a lot of 3 and outs. You're going to have a lot of fast drives, and it's going to have your defense scrambling, getting back on the field, and they're going to be gassed in competitions where they're playing these supreme offenses and you're giving the ball back to them. So the other thing is I'm waiting on this like dynamic offense that's supposed to change and revolutionize the game. And you guys have probably been sitting from afar hearing how, this is going to be something that nobody's ever seen. Thus far, all I've seen is a lot of read option, pistol, and a lot of like 3 and 4 wide formations, but nothing that has caused me to believe that it's going to give anybody headaches in terms of trying to game plan for it once you see it multiple times throughout the course of the season.
Do you think that has something to do with Kingsbury coming from college and just the difference in a college player and a pro player where in college the game's a lot, well, I don't want to say it's faster because that doesn't make sense.
No, it's actually slower.
The pace, I mean, like it's a lot more passing, a lot more big plays. That's why you get your games in the 60s and 70s in college. It's also a lot more mismatches as far as defense goes. But the fact that they're younger players and that they can play at a different tempo, the same kind of reason that Chip Kelly came into the pros, wanted to run his 70-play offense, and realizing that these guys are older, it's a more precise game and can't do that. Do you think that has to do with maybe where they're failing right now? Even though I've seen potential in what's happening, the fact you can be down as much as they were in the first game and come back is very promising. But do you think this Kingsbury fast-paced offense is going to work?
No, I have my skepticism about it, and you bring up great points when you match it up against the college game. For me, there's a couple different things. One, in college, most of your matchups, if you look through the schedule even last week in college, I think they had 0 top 25 matchups. In most instances, there's such a gap in the talent on the field. So your Oklahoma is facing, the school of the, St. Mary's from Catholic school. They overmatch them. Well, first off, with the athletic ability on the field, and that gives you the opportunity to run your fast pace. You have another thing. You have 100+ guys on the field. 80 of them scholarship, the rest of them walk-ons. But you can shift guys in and out. In the NFL, that roster at 47, man, that's all hands on deck. And if you're going to try to run this type of offense, one is going to gas your offensive line and your personnel. Can you keep that up for 4 quarters? You brought up a great point. They had those late quarter or late game comebacks. Part of the reason why Detroit gave it up so easily in the 4th quarter, one, nobody's playing any football in the preseason now. Guys are getting 1 quarter of action at most, and then they're coming to a regular season game where they're expected to play 4. Guys are so tired in these first 4 weeks of the season. So they took advantage of the fact that they picked the tempo up against Detroit. Detroit took the foot off the gas a little bit. They were able to make that comeback because of tempo. There is, in my opinion, there's no way you can run this style of offense consistently. One, putting your defense out there with their tail in the wind, having to be on the field for these extended amount of plays. Look back to the run and shoot offenses, June Jones and people like that. Mm-hmm. This isn't the first. All we're doing is now, instead of run and shoot, it's read option with up tempo. That run and shoot is nowhere to be seen all these years later because it just doesn't work. You have to have a running game to support that offense.
Who the hell is?
You have to sustain long drives, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I feel like I have something playing in the background. My question here, I want to follow up on that, Ed. And look, you've been in the NFL. You've also played baseball, which I think is awesome. I think is going to help us get another layer of assessment with Kyler Murray. Right there's something special there about 2-sport guys. What insight can you bring? But here's my thought. And I wasn't a football player. I'm a football fan. Right. But I watch college football and I go, this is that there are 4 or 5 guys on the field that look insanely fast and everybody else looks kind of okay. And so what I think is that when I see now, I mean, I'm sure if you look at Alabama or you look at Georgia and stuff, I mean, it's different. But, guys that look really fast in college, like oh my God, this dude would annihilate it in the NFL. When you put them in the NFL, they're still fast, but so is everybody else. When I went to graduate school, my mentor said this: he said, "Look, you've made A. He said you have half-assed it through college, and you made A's because your professor was happy you're the only person that wrote a halfway decent damn paper. But now you're in a setting where everybody's paper is very good." And so while I think that this is my I guess my thesis when it comes to college offenses, I think you can take cues from them, right? I think you can integrate some things, but the theory that these things, like, you can out scheme the NFL some way, I don't know if it works, because your offensive linemen run 4.5s. Your defensive linemen run 4.4s in this world, which is insane. So, and then you made this, and then the other point you made was this puts a lot of stress on your offensive line. But when it doesn't work, when you go 3 and out, your defense is sucking wind, and so how do you balance that? Does a coach learn, and is that really the litmus test for Kingsbury? Is how does he bring the innovation, the speed, and those kind of creativity, but also recognize too that he's at a different party, and that party has some different etiquette, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, does that make sense?
No, it does. For Kingsbury, this is going to be the season of adjustments for him. Finding out what works, what doesn't work. A stubborn coach will try to stick to his guns, and this is the way we do it, and we're going to make this work. A good one, you look at somebody like a Belichick, and nobody likes to give him a lot of credit up there, but from week to week, he's like a dude that takes whatever you give him and turns it into whatever type of soup he has. Whether this week is alphabet soup, he's got some leftover, chicken. He's got some leftover to whatever it is, and he makes a new soup each week. So this is going to be the challenge for Kingsbury. The other thing is you throw in the.
Oh God,
Did we lose him?
It broke up a little bit. Hey Ed, you're breaking up. Oh, there he is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You're
a
fine.
lot of these coaches in the NFL don't like this new dude coming in, with all this bravado, and he's going to do this, do that. And they're going to make it a point every week they play against Kingsbury. They're going to come with their best scheme. They're going to come with their best attack on him. And his job is going to be to figure out how he can adjust and adapt to this new life in the NFL.
Josh Jones in the chat.
Every week, though?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Every coach.
Shouldn't they be coming with their best game every week? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Say that again?
I was going to say, shouldn't they be coming with their best game plan every week to come out whoever they're playing?
Every team.
I get
every
what you're
team.
saying.
They do, but they also like to give a little extra, meaning think about what the Raiders did to them in the preseason. Second preseason game, nobody schemes and nobody sends blitzes. This is probably one of the most vanilla games of the whole entire year, the second preseason game. They came at Kyler Murray and Kingsbury with everything they had just to prove a point, and that's going to be kind of the theme throughout the year. Everybody comes with their best, but I'm saying they're going to give it a little extra. They're going to throw a little something in there to try to
tell you welcome to the league. Welcome to the league, guys. Now here, a question from Josh Jenkins in the chat room, Ed. We've had Damiere. We're giant Damiere Byrd fans. So Damiere Byrd is very little, but we're giant Damiere Byrd fans. He was essentially a walk-on, undrafted free agent for the Carolina Panthers. He produced at every turn for the Carolina Panthers. Had problems with injury. Great punt returner. I've seen him return a kick for a touchdown, a kickoff return, and he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns in one game. He's had 10 receptions so far for about 90 yards with you guys, 95 yards, and he's doing a little kick returns. Have you heard of Damiere Byrd, which I know you follow the team, but he's one of our guys where he's like our secret favorite. Any thoughts on Damiere Byrd for our fans?
I haven't, up until just last week, I really didn't follow him too much, but he's opening eyes out here, and it's a great thing, and this is a young, in certain positions, they're very young. We got a lot of things to prove out here. We got a lot of guys that might not necessarily be household names, but I'm going to start keeping my eye on him because he's been one of those guys, the little shining light in the some of the darkness out here. So I'm glad he's tied to you guys. I'm glad you guys, continue to follow him and support him.
He's been on our podcast twice, right?
Okay.
Is that we got him when he was an undrafted free before, like when he was on, like the first camp, we got him. And my man, by the way, runs like a 4.3. He in 2017, he had 10 receptions for 105 yards. In 2018, let me see. I think that was his year. I mean, he's just dealt with injury over and over because he weighs like 170 pounds and he is like a Demir Bird chicken wing.
He's got hollow bones like a bird.
Baby bird. All right, Greg, ask what you had a question about their running back. Ask Ed.
I did. Yeah, I wanted to come back to what you were saying earlier about how they had to establish the run game because that will help. Like, there's a reason why, for example, the Cowboys this year are so good. Well, there's a couple reasons. One, they played crap teams so far, but two, they had the fear of Ezekiel Elliott, so that opens up the passing game. That always helps the passing game is when you have a good established run game. And with David Johnson, I wanted to ask. I know he got injured the other day with a wrist, and I know a couple years ago he that was his injury that ended the season. Are those two related at all with the same wrist? Do you see anything in the future that might be bad, or is he good to go as far as we know it?
I think he's good to go. The one thing, and I think I might have mentioned this earlier, I'm really concerned about his fit in this offense. I don't like the running style for him, meaning a lot of things out of pistol. He's more of a downhill guy, get him out in space. And, he went for, I think he had 137 all-purpose yards first week of the season against Detroit. And obviously you throw the injury in here with this last one. He ended up with 14 yards rushing, 1 yard, a 1 yard catch, So that's not going to help your young quarterback. It's not going to help your offense. David Johnson is a guy who should be touching the ball, whether it be through the air or on the ground, minimum of 25 to 30 times combined. And if we're not getting that from him, another thing that I saw during the preseason, and maybe it was because it was preseason, maybe it was because he didn't want to get hurt or he has some leftover from some of these previous injuries. He's been very tentative. He did show me some signs in the first game, running with a little more authority, but I still don't see that David Johnson from 2016, and it's worrying me a little bit.
We only saw him 1 year, too.
Yeah, without him, there is no offense. That's a dude that should be catching, like I said, 10 to 12 balls a game and has his hands on it out of the backfield, 20 to 22 or 3, and really producing. We'll see where that goes, but and then some of it comes back to the offensive line. If they're falling behind early, if they are having no success in the running game and they abandon it, so goes the offense, and that will make for some long days for Kyler Murray scrambling around and running for his life.
What was the worst team you played on, Ed? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to. So I don't know how much how much you've been looking at the Panthers and our problems and the woes that we've kind of been going through. But, you have a home game against Carolina, knowing everything that you now are hearing about Cam Newton. How confident are you in your Cardinals going into this matchup? I mean, how do you think your team matches up with us right now?
Until I see them do something, I'm not confident at all. I know we got an injured Cam Newton. Yeah. I still believe, obviously you got McCaffrey, you got the other weapons, Olsen. The other thing is the Cardinals defense. They've been porous. I mean, they've given up multiple yards to whether it be running through the air. Back-to-back weeks, I think they've given up over 100 yards to tight ends. I mean, they've just decided we're going to do however we can do it. We're going to give it away. So with that being said, Carolina could come in here with a ball control type offense and run right through us. You just never know. It's going to, like I said, I as far as confidence wise, until I see it, I can't believe it out here.
Right. What was the worst team you ever played on, Ed?
Man, the worst team I ever played on, believe it or not, turned out to be one of the best. I was in Atlanta my first year with Atlanta. I was there for 2 years in '97. And we started that season off 1-7. That was Coach Dan Reeves that came in, took over from June Jones on the run and shoot. We had to add tight ends. We had very little running backs, So So it was all total rebuild. We started that season 1-7, and we were kind of the laughing stock of the league that year. Finished the season 6-2 though, and almost were the first team ever in history to start off 1-7, finish 7-1. We lost our last game of that year out here in Arizona, of all places, last second field goal. So I call it the worst team I've ever played on because it was, man, you're talking about, I don't know if you guys are car dudes, but you ever get something like it's a total restoration. And this thing, I mean, even the engine is laying on the ground, tires, you're on blocks, the whole thing. So to start that season, we started in the offseason. I signed early in February that year, went through the whole offseason. And to start that season, man, we were just horrible. But we were building something and didn't even realize it because obviously the following year, we finished that season 7-9, finished up, on a high note the next year, man, 14-2, all the way to the Super Bowl. So it can happen.
Have you ever played on a team that was broken, though, internally? And what I mean by that is, so questions have been coming up for the Carolina Panthers. We're searching. It's been a long time since we've been confident. We've had our juju. We've placed it on injuries and all this. And the reason I'm asking this is because I watched one of the greatest Panther players, Steve Smith, play on some putrid-ass teams, right? Mm-hmm. And what came to my mind was David Johnson. It's like, was there ever a player that you played with and you go, man, I wish he played on a different team and got like his, you know what I'm saying? Like he deserves to get his. I feel like David Johnson could be that guy. Is like, can we take a running backs already have a short-lived career? There's no right. Can we just give him to the Patriots or somewhere to what that way? Like, does that make sense?
It makes total sense. I'll be honest with you. I was fortunate where the majority of teams I played was with the Redskins, 2 years with the Falcons, Lions, Eagles. All those teams, we were fairly good, except for I said that one season, 7-9 season in Atlanta. I'll take that and transform what you're saying to a dude out here on the Cardinals, Larry Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald. I feel so bad for him.
Will he ever stop playing football?
It's 46th season, I think, right?
At the level he's playing, though, I mean, and I know this probably won't last forever, yeah. But I feel so bad. If you went through his personal quarterback roster, the number of dudes that have thrown him passes and some of the dudes he's had to deal with, man, it's been really, really bad out here. So, I just hope at some point, and it's probably the end of the road for Larry. He's one of those dudes, I don't see him all of a sudden deciding, well, I'm going to take a 1-year deal and go to XYZ. He's been here his whole career. I think when he finally calls it quits, he's going to call it quits as a Cardinal. So I just don't think, they had that 1 year, the 9-7 year, went to as a wild card and it turned it into a Super Bowl appearance. I think that's probably going to be his only one, though.
He's only 36, which is, only 36. Yeah. He's been playing in the league since 2004. It's insane. Here, let's go. I know that you are a busy man and we don't want to keep you all night. What do you really want to see? What are you looking for in the game against the Panthers? In just assessing, obviously everybody wants people to win and different things, but you're looking at this from an expert's position. What are you going to be looking at? Are you going to be looking at improvements in offensive line? Is it a temperature from the quarterback, or what is it that you are looking for on Sunday?
Definitely improvement, and not just in the offensive line, but the defensive line as well. We really didn't touch on the defensive side of the ball that much. I want to see them with more gap security. The other thing is that defensive line has to put some pressure on whoever is back there at quarterback for you guys, because we're minus Patrick Peterson for 6 weeks. So we're 2 weeks into that experiment. That young, inexperienced secondary, they need all the help they can from the dudes up front. Chandler Jones, Suggs, they've got to get some pressure on the ball, on the quarterback, stop the run game, keep the pressure off those dudes in the secondary, because they can be picked apart back there, and it's just easy pickings if you ask me. As far as the offensive side of the ball, I want to see that offensive line come out and be nasty, hit somebody, move some people off the ball, get that running game going, and protect Kyler from having to throw the ball 40 and 50 times in a game. This is not sustainable if you ask me. And Kyler's done a really good job. I've been really impressed with the fact that even in that Detroit game, he came out, and a lot of dudes would have went into the tank with that first 3 quarters they had. He kept his even, cool demeanor, He brought the team back little by little, and then they got on that roll. I'm very impressed by that. Like I said, I just hope they can give him more help, and maybe, ironically, maybe get him to use his legs just a little more. He's only run the ball a couple times this year, a few times. I think 17 yards on 9 carries, whatever it is. But that part of his game still hasn't been shown.
Are they holding it back? You think?
I'm not sure. It's almost, I'm wondering whether he's holding it back or they're holding it back. I'm really not sure. Maybe it's a protection mode. They don't want him out there in the middle of all those trees. But at the same time, there have been some times when he's scrambled, but it's been more horizontal scrambling than vertical scrambling, meaning finding that seam, hitting it, and getting up and getting down. We saw what Lamar Jackson did last week. Ran for 125, I think it was, and protected himself. So I'd like to see more of that from Kyler. And then the other thing is just more ball control and put some points on the board in the red zone.
He also threw the ball from Miami to Baltimore. Good gosh, Lamar Jackson just flicking it around. All right, final question for Ed. Greg, go ahead. Everybody give him one question. And I got one more in the hole.
So you say you were on the 98 Falcons team, right?
Yes, sir.
Which means that you were on the NFC Championship run, Super Bowl run. So you played with Jamal Anderson. Now, I know Jamal Anderson was a plus 2,000 yard running back from scrimmage that year. I think he had 1,800 rushing yards, a little more than that maybe. About 16 to 18 touchdowns. I can't remember. Great year. Huh?
Yeah.
What I want to know is if you remember that, do you see Christian McCaffrey as a player that can do something like that in this league? Because I know growing up, I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade then, and I remember watching Jamal Anderson and thinking about how amazing he was. I just looking up his stats. I would love to see Christian McCaffrey do something like that, and I think he's capable of it. From what you've seen of Christian McCaffrey, do you think he's capable of doing that?
I definitely do. I think McCaffrey's even more dynamic than Jamal was.
Okay.
He was, Jamal, great running back, very stocky, very built. He wasn't running away from anybody, though. This dude was, and our offense was predicated on, some of those hard-hitting runs and a lot of play action. We got Jamal out of the backfield every now and then, but he wasn't really what you call a supreme receiver. McCaffrey, he's a whole package. I mean, you can run him up the middle. He'll get outside for it. And in the passing game, he's so dynamic. So I definitely see him putting up those type of numbers and then some. I'm only upset that on 3 of my fantasy football teams, I got him on none of mine. So I'm a little
same way, man.
You didn't have the number 1 pick. That's obviously it. Cody, you got a question for Ed to close it out.
Yeah, so a brief statement is kind of how you feel about your Cardinals is basically how we feel about the Panthers right now. We don't know what to feel going into this game. The Cardinals have a better record than we do. How about that? We don't know who our quarterback is going to be. Both of our quarterbacks our backup quarterbacks looked terrible in the preseason. So I'm with you, man. We really don't know what to expect going into this game. My final question for you is, do you feel Chandler Jones will ever get the love that he deserves and is owed to him as one of the best defensive players in the game? I feel his sack numbers and pressures are always up there with the best in the NFL, but he's never talked about in the same way that Aaron Donald and Von Miller and Khalil Mack are. So what's your assessment on Chandler Jones, and do you think he'll ever get the respect that he deserves?
Cody, as long as he's out here on this roster with this defense, with this organization, he's always going to be kind of overshadowed because of the lack of team success.
Right.
The accolades come when you're on a team that's balling out and you're the superstar. Man, when it's this bad, I mean, it's hard to even, you're like Larry Fitzgerald. You look at the number he's put up through all the years, and still he never gets the respect of a Julio Jones, of T.Y. Hilton,
right?
All the premier wide receivers because of what he's dealt with here. So until we either turn around on the scoreboard or he finds another location to collect his paycheck, he's always going to be on that second tier, if you ask me.
My final question has to do with it's similar because you bring not only experience from the NFL, but obviously you're watching the Cardinals intently, a team that has had a bad offensive line for a long time now, who now has brought in a quarterback who is mobile, But this guy looks like a little. Everybody makes these great jokes about Kyler Murray on the internet, like the Little Giants jokes, all of this. But my question has to do actually with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers fans have been very upset with the organization for what they believe they have taken advantage of Cam Newton and taken advantage of him in a way that he is a big giant man who can withstand a beating, who is mobile, who has been our super Cam for so long. And right now, I feel like it's like that movie where Superman lost his superpowers. That's where we're at right now with Super Cam. But what are your thoughts on an organization owing a player? Kind of like you drafted what Cody has said over and over, a generational talent with Cam Newton, and owing him enough to give him protection and weapons. Is there any merit to that as a fan base, like where we're kind of upset with our team for not doing what we believe they should have with that opportunity? Or is it something like, hey, the NFL is a tough business and every team is trying to manage their roster, and we worked with, that's the best we could do?
Your fan base is absolutely right. You saw what happened up in Indianapolis with Luck. He took a beating just like Cam has over the course of the first bunch of years of his career. The difference is up in Indy, they finally started to put pieces around him, shoring up the offensive line, getting him running game, getting better on the defensive side of the ball so they could stay in games, and him not having to win games 35-36. Unfortunately for him, his body and his mind gave out on him, and he called it quits at his time. I won't call it prematurely. He called it quits when it was time for him to call it quits. For Cam, they pretty much, and it's an evil business, fellas, when whether you're a superstar or just a worker,
a guy making $7,000 a month or whatever.
When they're done with you, they're done with you, and what they'll try to do is try to get as much out of you as quickly as possible, as efficiently as they can, meaning if they don't have to pay you that huge salary, whatever it is, they'll eat you up, chew you up, spit you out, and then they're done. I guess the blueprint for Cam in Carolina would have been what they did for Luck in Indianapolis. It just never materialized. And, I know for sure you guys can attest to the number of offensive coordinators he's had in there, quarterback coaches. They've tried to put Band-Aids on things rather than close the wound and heal it and go from there. And that's just a sign. Like I said, we'll see how long and how much Cam can take, but he's obviously he's a superior talent. And let's one last thing. Let's not forget, sometimes athletes, we put this stuff on, we bring some of this on ourselves as well. There's a lot of times when Cam could have been sliding instead of trying to, run linebackers over and stuff like that. So he has to take a little accountability for that. But at the same time, the organization should have been taking care of him all along the way, getting him the pieces he need and putting him in the right position.
His beating has come so much in the pocket, strangely. Yeah. But I lied. Do you love football more or less after you played professional football?
Originally, man, I was a baseball dude, and that's why I went and did that for 9 years. And then when I made the transition, last time I played football was in high school. Now, after a year over, it's a summer or spring or over in the World League, I came back next year and I was in the NFL. I didn't realize how much I missed that and loved that game, man. It is something else. Nothing like coming out of a tunnel on a Sunday or whatever day it is. And, I'm paying for it now, surgeries after surgeries. And, I just turned 50 earlier this year. I'm a 50-year-old man and about a 60-year-old body. But if you ask me if I do it all over again, I would daggone sure do it again. I would just make a couple changes along the way. But, yeah, it's a game that you love, and you have to have a passion for it because, like I said, it does suck the life out of you, but it's well worth it, man.
I heard Roman Harper today on the internet, on the radio, and Roman Harper is, a longtime Pro Bowler, played. He turned gray. He turned gray when he was 28. I'm the same way. I got gray. My first gray hair was in the 8th grade. I feel you, Roman. But Roman said this today on the radio. He said 45% of the people in the NFL don't really like football. The other 60% love the game. Do you disagree with that number?
I would argue with that number a little bit, just because you don't do something like that and put yourself through something like that. I know the money's good, but man, the things that it takes to, one, get on a roster, stay on a roster, the offseason, the sacrifice, you don't do that just because, it's a paycheck. You do that because you love what you're doing. And I think what happens is a lot of times guys finish up their career and you look back on the toll it's taken on you. And toward the end, it does get a little miserable with everything you're dealing with. But you have to look at the whole package, man. I mean, all the things that I've put myself through and played through, bones sticking out here, ligaments gone here. And, man, like I said, I would do it all over again just because of the love of the game, not for the money.
What was your position in baseball?
That's what I was going to ask him next. Yep.
I was a third baseman. I was an everyday third baseman. I played a little first. And toward the end of my career, I played a little left and right. One of my Frank Thomas and I, at one point, we were manning the hot corners. I was always at third, and he was at first. So that was a big ass corner duo. So we had the pleasure of working together for some years.
Shaq Thompson is a linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. He was originally drafted, I think, by the Reds before he became a football player. And somebody asked him once, we had a beat writer from Washington, because that's where he played college at, on the show, and he asked Shaq Thompson about the game of baseball and like what the deal was, what the problem was, and he said, "Look, I just couldn't hit a curveball." He went 1-36, and he said, "I couldn't hit the curveball." What was your white whale, Ed?
Early in my career, man, if it wasn't straight and hard, I didn't want no part of it. But what happens after you play the game long enough, you become an actual hitter. Like I said, from my first year to my last year, my 9th year, man, I was a hell of a hitter. I mean, I could hit it all. I started using all parts of the field. Or like I said, early in my career, though, man, like I said, if you threw me something with a hook on it or a split or something like that, God, dang. I was coming out them shoes, but I wasn't touching nothing,
Frank Thomas with the truth, wasn't he?
Oh, my goodness.
Best batter in my lifetime. Best batter of my lifetime.
And the real cool thing for me is, like I said, I knew Frank. I was drafted in 87. Frank came to the organization in 89. I saw raw Frank, and like I said, we got to play together. To watch him develop and go to that next level was kind of really cool. As part of being an athlete, you get to see some dudes, and we all like to think we're the best at everything we do. Man, for the first time I saw Frank hit, I was like, damn, that dude can rake.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Best hitter I've ever seen, man. My man owned the plate more than anything. All right, Ed Smith, Believe in Cardinals podcast. Tell them how they can find your radio show, because with the internet, we can listen to everything, brother.
Yeah, no, we're on NBC Sports Radio, 1060 AM out here. As far as every Saturday, 10 to 12, you can catch us on the NBC site out here. Also, I'm on at Ed Smith Speaks on Twitter. Glad to be following you guys now, and definitely look forward to anytime you need me, or I'd love to have you guys even come on my radio show.
Please.
During the year. And we do the Facebook thing. It's the Easy Sports Talk Show. So that's on Facebook, on Instagram. So that's how we get down, man. And I got to tell you, you guys are great fans, but you do an even better radio or podcast. I was looking forward to being when you sent me the rundown for the show. I was like, those dudes know what the heck they're doing. So I was looking forward to this. And like I said, anytime you need me, and I look forward to staying in touch, and anything I can do to support you guys, I got you.
Well, you've been so gracious with your time tonight, and I thank you so much. And I know all of our fans are going to go follow you. You've been fantastic. Everybody go check out Ed Smith Speaks. Any last words, guys?
I was just going to say, Ed, the Bat Daddy 52 just followed you on Twitter, man. I'll definitely hit you up sometime to talk about some sports. I'm all around everything, so
appreciate it, man.
Look forward to talking to you.
All
right. Thanks for joining the show, Ed. You were awesome, man.
You got it, man. Appreciate you guys, and look forward to being in touch soon. We'll see how this game shakes out.
Right.
Look at that. Wonderful. A lot of feedback in the chat room. Ed Smith in the house tonight. Former NFL and MLB player, really helped us get an understanding. I think what was great about that, guys, about the discussion, guys, was beyond just the Arizona Cardinals. We got a little feel too about kind of the temperament and the temperature from going college to pro, from baseball to NFL. Really interesting stuff there. You guys are listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. Go ahead and smash up the thumbs up button. There's 48 people. It's time to shame y'all mugs. It's the shaming. There are 49 people watching and only 30 thumbs up. There's 0 thumbs down. So thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't care which one it is. Hook us up. The number's 252-228-5098. Guys, is there really anything else at this point to talk about other than Cam Newton? Right?
No. I hate, and I'm sure the cat calls are going to cover a lot of Cam Newton talk. Is
this any different than any week of our whole history of this podcast? Cam Newton is the story every week, even when he's not the story. He is the story. Here, let's go on to the cat calls and see where you guys are at. And tell me if we heard this one already.
Jedi Joe.
Nope.
I just wanted to call in before the show and get my call in. I know there's a lot of anxiety over what's going to go on with our team being 0-2, with Cam looking like he's not going to play on Sunday. And I know some people are probably thinking, oh, we should probably get Kaepernick, which I mean, I don't know. I feel like if any team is going to do it, probably the Panthers, considering Tepper went out and got Eric Reed last year. But I want to say, to be optimistic, I know everybody's probably not very optimistic on these calls, but to be optimistic, we played 2 games where we really should have won. And it just comes down to a couple of plays that weren't executed well that ended up doing it. We have a good team. We just need to fix the mistakes and be more consistent. And I know that's been the calling card for maybe the last few years. But we also are in a good position due to the Saints losing. And I don't like to wish any kind of ill will towards any quarterbacks, but Drew Brees going down, it might help us a little bit. So I hope he recovers well, but if those 6 weeks, if he can extend that 6 weeks out for a little bit, that'd be nice. The Falcons, they should have lost. That game was crazy. The Eagles almost pulled through. We are really just one game back from the Saints and the Falcons.
Yep.
And the Bucks. Well, and the Bucks.
Yeah.
I forget that they're in our division sometimes, even though we just lost them.
Except they just beat our ass.
Except for when they beat us.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Great call from Jedi Joe. And listen, I mean, I think that's a good transition into what we need to be talking about. And I'm going to ask everyone in the chat room and my 2 co-hosts here, do any of you have any faith that either one of the backups coming in, either Kyle Allen or Will Greer, are going to be able to not even finish out the season or playoffs, none of that. Let's say Cam Newton is out 4 games in a row. Are you confident that either one of those quarterbacks at least bring us even 1 W? It's a legitimate question. Answer it however you feel necessary.
I think they definitely can. I don't see any reason why they couldn't, but I mean, you got to think about it like this. I'm sure that when Tom Brady came in, they felt the same way. They didn't think he was going to, do what he did. Same way with Nick Foles. Lots of different backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, but Kyle Allen was looked like trash forever.
No, I give you that. But my thing is, here's my kind of counter to that is, what if they do come in? What if Kyle Allen comes in and throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and wins the game? Then what are we going to do?
Yeah, then
not going to happen. It don't matter. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of people in the chat, and Nova Black told me this earlier, that he said yes, that we can get some W's with some of these backups. This is you brought up.
I think we have to get them in a different way, guys.
But you brought up an interesting scenario, and again, we're talking about fairy tales at this point. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. But if Will Greer or Kyle Allen comes in and starts to ball out and we start to win football games, then from an organizational standpoint, would you even want Cam Newton to come back in that scenario?
All right, so here's the problem. Here's the problem with this comparison, right? Is that if the question is, can Kyle Allen or anybody come and win us some games, then the answer is yes, right? Is because you can get Fitzpatrick, anybody, Case Keenum, right? They're Band-Aids on a short term, right? And so what I mean by that is that, look, here's the problem. You guys asked it. We said this earlier in the show, and I do think there is some merit to this when it comes to Norv Turner and this coaching staff. How can you win when your quarterback can't complete a 5-yard pass? You know, when he can't, and that has really been the problem with Cam at this point that we have been so frustrated with. And for last year, it was we didn't see big plays, but we saw competent plays. What we have seen right now has been incompetent. So you can't even just call a straight like, hey, the guy's wide open. Like, how can Norv Turner really call a game? I think here is the deal that Kyle Allen, see, I can't even remember his freaking name. That's the point. Is that when you coach Cam, you're coaching for this opportunity to run to the end. You're coaching a horse, if we're thinking of like a thoroughbred, that can win the race, right? He can actually win the Kentucky Derby. If you're coaching Kyle Allen, you can come in 6. You might place every now and then. And so what I mean by that is I actually think in the short term, yes, is that here, if this thing with Cam is temporary, if we can get by, if Cam comes in and that is not what I have heard, guys. I have not had that feeling. You have a feeling like this. As long as the Saints can hold pat until Drew Brees gets back, they're okay. As long as they don't lose it. I don't know if I feel like is that I do believe Kyle Allen or any schmuck can come in. You got Christian McCaffrey. You got a defense that's been playing great. It's going to help the defense by having a quarterback that can complete a couple of passes and do some things. But I don't think you have the upside. It's like you have a lower floor, but you have I don't know how to say it. And I just believe that you might be able to win 1 or 2 games, but does that matter in the end if you can't really make a run? Is it really matter if we bring in a guy and we go 8-9 and back into the playoffs and get smashed?
Draft 15th, yeah.
Does it really?
This is kind of the point that I'm getting at. If we're at this point, then okay, Cam is not a fast starter. So we need some time to turn it on. So if he misses next week and then the next week after that, and then let's say we go 1-1 in that time period, so that means we're 1-3, then he has to come back. I mean, 3 losses, we're already talking about, we're sitting on the outside of the division. And then if you have a quarterback that is at least completing passes, moving the ball, getting into a rhythm with the offense, with the receivers, all of these things take time. All of these things take time. So if you're going to put the backups in those positions to start to build a rhythm and then just rip them away when Cam Newton is starting to come back, you're setting your offense back 2 steps every time you take a step forward.
I get that, yeah.
So, that's why I'm at the mindset right now that it's like if Cam Newton isn't healthy and ready to go right now, what comes next isn't any better.
Well, is that the question is he not healthy now and he can be healthy? Right? Because we can work with.
Make him healthy.
We can work with that. But the real fear is that you can't weather any storm. Right. And if that is the question, and I think that has come down to the tone of what I have heard so far from the organization, guys, is I feel like this is if the organization felt really good about Cam Newton, his mental health, his spiritual health, his physical health, they're like this. Look, the foot is a unforeseen setback, and it's bullshit. It sucks, but we're gonna do what we got to do to get him right, and then we're going to get back in this. We had a tough start. It's going to suck for a little. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But I don't have that feeling from this. Or not. It's not a feeling for me. I haven't heard any words that just say this. Look, Cam Newton is fucked up right now, and he's going to get better. It has been like.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with he has a sprained ankle. 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, give us a timetable. At least we have something to look forward to. I agree. The not knowing is what's killing. 100% I agree with you on that.
Legacy has a
so hard. It's the hardest question ever.
Tony, are we really going to do what's right with Cam Newton? And it
What's
goes
that?
back to this.
I don't know what that is.
The people that are in charge, I don't trust. I don't trust Ron Rivera to make the and listen. I do want to mention something.
I think some of this is Cam's personality, guys. I think Cam, we are giving a complete pass to Cam. There's something wrong with him spiritually at this moment.
I mean, and see, we go back to the Andrew Luck thing. I want Cam Newton to do what's best for him. So if Cam doesn't love this anymore, if he wants to go and do some other shit, if football has taken a toll on the man's body, I'm not going to do what those Colts fans did to Andrew Luck and turn on him and boo him and burn jerseys and all this.
Oh, no.
Shit.
Cam made us who we are.
But
Well, if he does it 2 weeks before the season, I might. But
right. Well, I understand. But my point is, if Cam doesn't want to do this, then yeah, he needs to say that to someone who matters, to Rivera or Tepper or whatever. If he's not going to be healthy, let him have the time to heal up. Let him come back, and then it's time to hit the ground rolling. If not, then I promise you, whether you want to hear it or not, at the end of next season, we're looking for another franchise quarterback.
Here is Ron Rivera on the injury. Just listen to this, guys.
Part
all right,
all week.
Do you know if he was around here or Atlanta or some combination?
Well, he was getting his treatment this week.
Did he have to undergo X-ray, MRI?
I don't know all that detail.
How do you not know that? Shut up.
As far as timeout, do you know how long?
I have no idea. What he's going to do is he's going to get his treatment, and we'll see how he feels, and we'll adjust it as we go around.
And that just pisses me off, man.
sounds lazy.
This sounds like Cam. No, this. Hold on, here it goes.
With him, and he's going to do
Ron's
everything he
reasons,
can
okay.
to get back out as soon as he can.
If Cam isn't able to go, do you anticipate?
Joe Person asked him, was Cam in Atlanta? Was he in L.A.? They're highlighting the hat maker in L.A. What I feel like is, and I'm going to give Ron a little leash on this because, yes, is Ron trying to keep his job? Sure he is. But he's also, you know how he keeps his job? By winning fucking games. So it's like, let's not act like he's trying to do something like shiesty here. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to win. But here is they asked Cam, the first question was Cam in places that were basically unrelated to football? And the second thing is Cam's walking out of there with no boot. It came to light afterwards. Okay, so maybe you knew the foot was still bothering him. But guys, we watched the damn game. Yes, he looked hobbled in some ways, but it didn't look like he couldn't walk. There's something strange going on in the neighborhood. And who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. I don't know. But that comment from Ron Rivera right there, to me, doesn't seem like just a coach who has been who's frustrated that things aren't working out. It almost seems like a coach that is frustrated by, like, he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Not because he's entirely inept, but because it is cryptic.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
I was gonna say what you were saying earlier, Cody, about the Cam, and you want him to do the best thing for him, and how, you know, if he doesn't want to do this anymore, that's fine. But all I got to say about that is, man, there was a point in time where Superman didn't want to do what he was doing, and he stepped down, and then he realized that the world needed him, and he came back. He found himself and came back. I'm hoping that my Superman does that.
Greg, tell them where they can learn about the next level of this thought at.
By the way, I want to pinpoint something. I want to pinpoint something, a comment in our chat room, and I feel like we kind of laughed this off, but I feel that maybe there might be something to this. Jake Delhomme says it's Cam's soy diet. It decreases testosterone.
I saw that. Yeah.
Now, listen,
did Jake Delhomme really say that? The real Jake Delhomme?
In our chat.
Okay.
And that is Jake Delhomme, which
I don't know.
I believe this. I am with him 100%, guys.
I feel like we haven't talked about that enough. I mean,
eat a fucking raw steak. He has turned into a cuckold.
A lot of shit for being the salad boy.
Yeah.
And now Cam Newton is a salad boy.
He's total vegan too, right?
Yeah, vegan, not eating any meat.
He needs a cheeseburger and some pussy. Sorry, ladies. I'm sorry, but when he was good with Kia,
so we'll see some relations. How about that?
Well, he has a baby on the way. So
I continue to say this is Tiger Woods fell off when he didn't have prostitutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really true. It's like at some point, but here, listen to this. Tell me there's not saltiness in this comment from Rivera.
The short term and getting the best quarterback on the field and putting Cam on the field versus ensuring that he's healthy long term and preserving him for the next weeks, years.
Well, I think at the end of the day, nobody will know better than him. So my job really will be to handle the players that are playing, handle the quarterback situation as it goes. And until we know that, Kyle Allen, if he's going to end up playing as our starter, he'll be our starter.
Surely there's a form of frustration, getting this kind of news, but do you even have time to get frustrated, or is it just roll your eyes and move on?
A little bit of both, and obviously be frustrated with the questions I get about it, but it is what it is.
Frustrated by the questions.
This is my deal.
The truth of the matter is,
shut the fuck up, Ron. All right, but think about this. He said, "I can only coach the people on the field, Cody." That's what he said.
The only thing that people
There's
want to
something
know about is Cam Newton. The only thing any of us care about right now is the health of Cam Newton. How much they knew about the injury, how much they didn't know about the injury, what's going on with our only chance in hell at being a good football team. And then you have the audacity to get pissed off at the people doing their job, asking the questions that people want to know. Like, listen, man, I know that you're not a fan of this part of your job, but just like everyone came down on Cam Newton after the Super Bowl when he missed out on the press conference, Ron Rivera deserves to get all the shit in the world for throwing temper tantrums when people ask him legitimate fucking questions.
True that.
Questions that people want to know. Shut up, have a Coke and a smile, and answer the damn question, and have a shred of honesty in your answer.
Yeah, but people could say that about Cam too.
Sure, and you know what? It's true.
Well, they do say it about Cam. But seriously, doesn't that sound like a guy? He said, "I can only coach the guys who are available." What I hear from that is Cam is unavailable. And I don't think that is just physically. I think he's
right. That's kind of a fourth wall statement right there, where he's kind of saying something behind what he's saying,
Yeah, is that you're trying to tell me Cam is unavailable? Yeah, he's not playing. So you can't coach him? You don't expect he's going to come back? Like, you don't have a fucking relationship with him? You don't have anything, and you have no idea. Is he bad? Is he worse? Is he this? And Cam has been missing in action essentially for 5 days. That's what I interpret it as. Now, there have been no reports that he's been missing in action. But here, you put a couple of these pieces together. Joe Person says, where has he been at? Has he been in Atlanta and L.A. or whatever he said? There is a certain kind of distance that is associated with that. And I think I want to give Ron a little, not pass on this, but if he's working with a guy that is problematic, and look, I'm a Cam dude, so for me even saying that is ridiculous. I don't believe it. We saw the all or nothing, but there is something behind the scenes we don't understand. Let's go to the next call. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. The number is 252-228-5098. Let's see what you guys got to say.
What up, C3? It's Killer Cam from Nashville again. I forgot one thing I wanted to talk to y'all about. Cam's passion, his energy, for the game, it seems like it's lacking right now. He's not smiling.
Yes,
He's not signaling on first down. He don't look like he's having any fun. Somebody stole that man's lunch. He just doesn't know what's going on. I've just never seen this version of Cam Newton before. He doesn't look like he's having fun. He doesn't seem to be enjoying himself. He don't look like the same football player I'm accustomed to. And I don't know if that's injury, if he lost his mojo. I don't know what it is. But he said he needs to do some soul searching in the mirror, and by God, I hope he does it. That's all. That's the only other point I wanted to bring up. Again, appreciate everything y'all do. I'll be tuning in. Y'all see me in the chat. Love you guys. Peace out.
Nice. Appreciate you, Cam.
Great call there.
Huh?
Yeah, great call.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was saying earlier. He looks like he's lost the passion. Hey, real quick, before we go on to the next call, I want to point this out because I have a feeling we're going to get a few calls that mention this whole Kaepernick thing. Okay? I'm not against Kaepernick because of anything that he did with social injustice or the way he stood for anything. That's his deal. I'm against Kaepernick because the last time we saw him, he was garbage. Okay? And the last time we saw him, he was garbage was 2016 or 17? Well, guess what quarterbacks retired then? Michael Vick, Tony Romo, and Jay Cutler. Would you be arguing for one of those guys to come back and play right now in place of Cam? Because they played just as well as he did last time Kaepernick was in the league. That's my thing. Is not a matter of him as a person. It's a matter of he was garbage last time he played, and he hasn't played in almost 3 years.
Thoughts,
so do you
Cody?
really want to put your like fight for him to come back and play for us? Just saying.
I think the only argument against that is that he's younger than a Vic and a Cutler.
Yeah, like way younger.
The song remains the same. If it's Kaepernick having to learn a brand new Norv Turner offense over guys that are on the team that are struggling, it's like, a rock and a hard place. Take your pick. Even if Kaepernick has more talent, does he equal more victories at this point than someone else on the market or the guys that we have on the team? And
I got the answer when it comes to Kaepernick.
I want to hear it.
Is that if this would have happened in week 8 and we were 6-2, then hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, we feel like we got one of the most talented rosters we've had. Guys, we had a crazy amount of optimism going in. We tried to hold it back, but I know I had it underneath. And I said, man, this defense has – when you saw Brian Burns balling, you're like, all of a sudden he could be awesome. Shaq is looking good. You got all this stuff on the defense. You're like, holy shit. There's real pieces here. It's all about Cam Newton's health. If Cam would have come out here and played 6 games and been just fucking doing his thing, not even dominating, but us winning, then I say it's time to bet on today. Yeah. It's time to bet on today. But right now at 0-2, here's my thing with Kaepernick, and the reason I'm not saying I'm against it. I actually don't give a shit. Like, bring him in because he's going to be way better than Kyle Allen. I promise you that.
Maybe. He hadn't played for years. You don't know.
Well, he might not be ready better from day one, but Kyle Allen is not good. But
and can I mention this?
My point is I feel like at this point right now, it's going to be lost. You know what I'm saying? Even if he brought him in and he was better than they said, it's still lost. Like, he's not. And if this was week 10 and we had an opportunity and Cam's coming back, what if it was week 6 and we said, hey, Cam's going to be out for 4 weeks? I don't know. Right now, I think if Cam goes down and it's a serious thing that, like, we're worried about his mental health, his physical health, whatever it is, and we're not looking for him to come back, we're screwed. It don't matter.
This is my final thing I want to say before we move on to the next cat call. Will Greer was a wasted pick because
we've been saying that.
If the man cannot beat out Kyle Allen, then what would have been the problem going with Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke as the 2 quarterbacks on the roster? If this is Cam Newton's last year as a Panther, then let's go out and get a first-round talent. Let's get a Justin Herbert, or let's wait for a Trevor Lawrence. If Will Grier is not the answer this year, then it was a wasted pick, and we could have put better pieces on the football team. But instead, we have a perennial backup.
All right, next call.
What up, C3 fam? It's Killer Cam from Nashville. You know I'm out here stuck in traffic. Oh, man, I couldn't call in after the game last Thursday. I was too heartbroken, too depressed, too embarrassed to be a Panthers fan. No, not really, but it was a tough one. You know, from that 4th and 1 that Cam got right at the beginning, that for whatever reason they couldn't or they reviewed it and it wasn't across the line, but it so clearly was. I guess because of the weather, they only had 2 cameras or some shit like that. I don't know. Officiating was suspect. Cam's play was worse. Norv Turner's play calling was even worse than Cam's play, I think. I mean, I don't know. That's easy to say now that nothing worked, but Cam was missing layups. We can't miss layups. But there was a report that came out today that said Cam was hurt. That foot is not right, and, you know, he's questionable for week 3. So I guess if there's any silver lining, I'm glad that he's hurt. I'm glad there's an excuse for that piss-poor performance we saw on Thursday, which was definitely the worst game he's ever had in Carolina. I mean, maybe of his professional career. I mean, it has to
I
be,
think
right?
of his lifetime career.
Maybe.
It's very disappointing there, but I'm going to give him one more week. I know it's hard. I'm going to give him one more week. I'm going to give him one more chance. Otherwise, I'm buying a Luke Kuechly jersey. I ain't putting that shit back on. I love Cam to death. I've been a Cam supporter since he got here. I've made tons of he's never had any receivers. Look how many drops they've had. We've got no O-line, this and that. I mean, I've made all the excuses, but I can't do it anymore. And I'm glad that y'all are kind of on the same page. I feel all of y'all's thoughts. Y'all do a great job every week. Appreciate you. Want to see your thoughts on Arizona. Looking forward to tuning in tonight. And yeah, man, keep pounding. We love you guys.
Will Cam Newton be on this roster in 2020?
100%. 100%.
100? Let me tell you this. Let me just give you one figure before you give your full answer. Next year, he's due to make $18 million in salary, $2 million guaranteed. If you cut him next year, you lose $2 million. That's it. So what I'm saying is this, is that the answer to this question is, do you believe Cam Newton will be right or wrong? Because if he's wrong, there is no sense in keeping him next year. There is no sense in paying him $23 million, which is not a lot for a quarterback, like Cody intimated, but it is a lot for a backup quarterback. And I had a guy at work who has been a Cam hater since forever, but he came into my office today and he said this. He said, Cam Newton will not be on the roster next year. Write it down. And for the first time ever, I said to him, I want to fucking fight you, but I'm not ready to. I mean, seriously, think about that. We have $2 million in dead money. That's it.
Yeah.
If Cam Newton doesn't get right, is he a Panther next year?
Well, there's so many things that go into this, Tony. Okay, first of all, I have a hard time with anybody who's saying they've been a Cam supporter and Cam fan, and I have been too the whole time. And then after two games, we've had 2 games this season, they're saying they're giving him one more chance, and that's it. For me, that's kind of tough. Like, you're telling me after 3
is the
games,
one more chance
totally give up on him?
Is the one more chance though just the season? What I'm saying is this, I'm not ready. I was ready to come into this show and tell you guys how everything was going to be all right tonight, because I stand with Cam, and I was ready to be all of that. But my question is, if things aren't right with Cam by the end of the season, is he a Panther next year?
I think so. Cody, what do you think?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. So, Greg, I understand what you're saying, right? But people that have followed, my opinions on this show know how I feel about Cam Newton. I grew up liking football.
I'm gay for him.
You said before, I believe you. But you know what? I I gave up on football all together at one point in my life, and the only reason I'm a Panther fan now, or what reinvigorated my love for football, is Cam Newton. I'm as big a fan as you can imagine, but I'm a realist, man. This doesn't feel like, oh, another injury. Oh, it's, he'll be fine. He'll be back. I wish I felt that way. I wish to God that I felt that way. But it goes back to this. We have a brand new owner who spent $2 billion on a football team. There are too many talented quarterbacks coming out in the draft in the next 2 years to stay with Cam Newton if Cam's heart is not in this. If it's not in this, then we need to move on. If Cam Newton still is ready to tear up the NFL, then yeah, let's roll. I don't feel we have the coaches to do it, but I'm on team Cam Newton. But I'm a realist, and I don't know if it'll be unless we have an awesome season and turn it around. I don't know that he'll be on the team.
Okay. There's two things I want to say. That one, I get totally where you're coming from, but there's no guarantee that if we decided to draft a quarterback next year that he's going to be the what fixes the problem. Because I don't think the quarterback position, other than him playing bad so far this season because of injury, has been the problem. You got to protect him. You got to have support around him. He's never had that. Okay.
100%.
Two, I don't think that. I think everybody's judging Will Grier too quickly. I get he didn't have a good preseason, but
He's also 25, dude. He's old.
Go
He's
back
already
to Cam
old.
Newton's first preseason and tell me if you think he's going to be an MVP one day. I'm telling you, you can't judge somebody by their first preseason. Now, he may not turn out to be the best player, but I'm not going to pass judgment on him after the first preseason he had. Just me personally.
Yeah, that's fair. That's 100% fair too. I think my main point is that on the depth chart, but again, we're talking about Ron Rivera, so this might lend to your point. The fact that he hasn't beaten out Kyle Allen yet. I think David Tepper and Hurney wanted to draft him for this very scenario. Cam Newton isn't healthy, and we need someone to be able to come in and play. And as of right now, that's not Will Grier, that's Kyle Allen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep pounding with the calls. There's like 40 of them.
Hi guys, Rich in London a couple of days after the last phone call. So there we go. After 9 months, we're 2 weeks into the season and we're fucked already. No Cam Newton at practice. Sounds like he's hurt his foot again. You're going to be talking about this the whole time. There's clearly something's wrong. And I don't know in what way. I mean, it's all going to be speculation. But not just the foot, but the demeanour. And I support Cam like as everybody. Actually, no, I'm not even going to go into the stats. It's not about that. It's that there's something wrong with Cam mentally. They're not wanting to run for whatever reason, and we don't know. But discuss it, find out, see what anybody thinks. Ask your audience. Don't know, but what makes him exceptional? The hundreds of yards of rushing every year, the 4th and 1, and the leaping for the goal line. And to see none of that last week, and now he's not at practice because he's hurt. Does he go to IR? Maybe. It's such a pity because it looked like he had such a good potential this year. First 2 games have been fairly horrible, but Twitter world is going, start next year, clean slate. Ron, I think Ron, I don't know, I might be repeating myself because I can't remember what I said the other night. Ron's one of those guys, he's a good coach, but not a good head coach for a game. So I'd imagine helping people in the background and improving them. But yeah, it's all falling apart after 2 games. Who knows? Maybe we'll go 6-2 on the Kyle Allen show. I'm not an F-150 glasses wearing fish holder. But Kyle Allen found Curtis Samuel deep last year against the Saints. Yeah, they weren't great, but that secondary is probably no worse than what we're going to face in the Cardinals. So, if Cam isn't fit, I'm all in on Kyle versus Kyler, and hopefully we're better than them. God knows. Anyway, looking forward to the pod coming up tomorrow, guys. You do a great job, and keep pounding everybody. Cheers.
Man, gosh, these calls are tough. Let's keep going.
Hey guys, Josh from Mass. Ooh. So a few things have happened since I called the other day. I felt the need to call again and touch upon it. Don't mean to be so greedy with the time, but, you know, things need to be said. Lo and behold, Cam Newton was playing hurt the whole time. Foot's still messed up. I'm not surprised. I don't think anybody should be surprised. The lack of design run plays, that not calling him to run the ball and 4th and 1 and, you know, try to go up and over the top. You know, I think even a certain degree of the passing inaccuracies have a good bit to do with that. However, that's not really the meat and potatoes of my call. The meat and potatoes of my call is the fact that yet again we get another Ron Rivera playing dumb at a press conference. It's like, dude, the cat's already out of the bag as of like almost an hour before you went up there. Just spill the beans. What's going on?
Thank you.
Why are we playing these games?
You.
What's with the nonsense?
Is the sky falling, or should we be
and
okay?
The fact, oh, well, I didn't know till after Thursday's game. Bullshit.
Oh,
bullshit. And if you don't know how to talk to your players in a way that can get them to yield that type of critical information to you, then you don't need to be a head coach.
This is the
Period.
best call of the
Full
night.
stop. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to now die on this hill alongside Cody. Ron needs to go. Norv needs to go. That's it. Marty, he can stay another year. You can stay another year. I like the way he drafts. Made some pretty aggressive moves in free agency.
Yeah, he's done everything right. Marty Arnie's done
But
everything
Ron
right.
and Norv, they got to go.
Except for Greer.
It's subpar. It's sub-average. And right now, we're fixing to look like the laughing stock of the league by week 4. That just don't fly with me. 25 years. And this is what we fans get. I hope Tepper hears some of this tonight, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of it. Keep pounding.
All right, Malachi May brings this up. He says this, and we've got it. Cody, you have laid it out as GM. Malachi May says this. Discuss who should be a good fit for us as head coach. Lay it out there.
So listen, and I know Tony wants to hear this, but this is I put this on Twitter yesterday. I say you go to Lincoln Riley, who produced the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and it's looking like well, okay, but that gets into a whole nother discussion, and it's looking like a whole nother
a third one.
But
he didn't develop Hurts though.
But he didn't develop Hurts, but Jalen Hurts did not look how he looks playing for Nick Saban, though.
True.
I mean,
I'll say that.
He was the Heisman candidate, national guy.
I want a savant.
Well, I don't think Hurts was a Heisman contender at Alabama, but because
he played defense. He played defense in the SEC. He doesn't play defense in the conference in right now. That's a given. Like, there's no defense in that conference.
Talking about Vanderbilt and Arkansas.
And it was 2 years younger.
I don't know if the drop-offs are that different, but listen, I'm going to Lincoln Riley, and I'm saying to him, you know, turn around Cam Newton's career. Put him in an offense that utilizes the man for the talents that he has. And then if it doesn't work out, you have your pick of quarterback, whoever you want to draft for your offense. You have your free reign, and you have a grace period of a year or two to bring this offense up to where you want it to be.
Okay.
I would offer him and this is just me with my real GM hat on, a 5-year contract, $35 million, $7 million per year. That's $2 million more than he makes at Oklahoma, and it gives him some insurance and one of the better contracts in the NFL right now. If he wins a Super Bowl, rip up the contract and pay him more money.
Double. Guaranteed double.
I want a coach that is able to utilize Cam Newton, and if not, I want to run a modern day offense. I'm not saying don't play
This
defense.
would have worked 5 years ago.
Yeah, we should have done this a long time ago. There's a reason Matt Ryan was an MVP under Shanahan and never since. Play calling is so important. It's so important. And you have to have a competent mind calling the plays. Sean McVay. Jared Goff is a mediocre quarterback, but you wouldn't know it because of the coordinator.
Well, and because he's got one of the best running backs in the league, and some
he's
different
got Todd
things.
Gurley, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks. It's a little more than just that, but
right. Well, that's what you should do. You should put talent around your young quarterback.
I would say
when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, you can do that. Because he's on a rookie contract.
And Lincoln Riley's resume is just as good as Cliff Kingsbury's.
Better.
It's just
better.
Exactly. So here but the only thing I disagree with Cody's take on this is that right now, I don't know if I think 2 years ago you could have said that to somebody. You say, look, we got Cam Newton. We have fucked him. We haven't put an offensive line in front of him. We haven't put talent on him. We want you to make him what he was supposed to be. But right now, I think what we have seen, and yes, it's only 2 games in. Things are going to change around. But you can't go to anybody right now and be like, make Cam Newton MVP.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't fly. So I like the idea. I'm rooting for Lincoln Riley because, look, he was offensive coordinator for the East Carolina Pirates. That's my alma mater. We were awesome with him. He was fantastic. He made Coach Ruffin McNeil fantastic. When he left, Coach Ruff dropped off a lot. He is amazing. He's a savant. There are questions. Will it translate? I think those are real questions for anybody. But if anybody was going to translate, I think he's just as good as candidate as anybody. But yeah, is that is I think, and who brought it up? Who asked that question in the chat room? I think it was Malachi Mabe.
Yep.
Malachi Mabe. Is that here again? This always comes back to our discussions with quarterbacks. I mean, with head coaches. It's not only about firing a head coach; it's about hiring one as well. Here's our next call.
Okay.
Exactly. Who are you going to replace him with?
Hey, C3, Kenny B here from Greensboro, and I want to start out by thanking you guys again for being the best Panthers podcast that I can find out there anywhere. And I thought about calling in Thursday night after the game, but I wanted to take that heartbroken feeling and put it in a bottle basically and kind of stew on it for a few days and kind of see how I felt after a few days. And I wanted to call in and kind of, give you guys my thoughts. And Cody, I 100% standing on that hill with you. Ron Rivera, Norv Turner, I'm ready for them to hang up the hat. And when I say that, looking at, you were talking about Ron Rivera just doesn't seem like he has control. He doesn't, I just don't see that. And when I think of that, I think of other coaches that I see that do demand that authority, like Tom Coughlin used to do with the Giants, Bill Cowher, and Bill Belichick even, and they just demand that level of respect, and they have that authority and control within their organization. I just don't think that Ron Rivera has that. The other thing that I kind of came to conclusion with Cam Newton was that if you take the whole Panther fan base and you ask them, they either love Cam Newton and they defend him or they hate him. And the people that have not liked Cam Newton, they haven't liked him for years. They didn't like him putting his towel on his head. They didn't like him sitting on the sideline, not looking at a computer, iPad when he's not in the game. They didn't like him, after his post-game Super Bowl. They don't like the way he dresses. So they've been like that for a very long time. I would say that probably 30 to
Chat. Tony, do you hear us?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's no audio. They can't hear us.
Okay, yeah, because how long? For how long?
I don't
They
know.
hear us now.
They just said lost audio.
Yeah, I hear a bunch of it, or see a bunch of it.
Did you guys hear that call?
We did, and it cut off.
Okay.
Good call.
All right, well, here, we'll listen to the end. Here's the end.
that probably 30 to 50% of Panther fans still defend Cam Newton, love Cam Newton, and believe in him. But after listening to Thursday's calls, I feel like Cam Newton has dug himself into a huge hole, and I don't know how he's going to get out. Because all those calls were saying, I love Cam Newton, but I can't support him anymore. Even with this whole thing coming out with the foot is still sore, I don't know how much that helps his cause. I just feel like Cam Newton just looks like a shell of his old self. See what you guys think. Excited to hear for the next one, guys. Thanks.
I've never been worried. This is what it is. I have never, ever been worried about Cam. Like, I always thought this is that he wasn't a weak spot on our team.
Agreed.
This is the first time I've ever worried. And, like, I just, you know what my worry is? It's not about, my worry is that I'm not going to see the Cam I knew again. That's my fear. My fear is that not that Cam can't come, like, am I going to see it? Am I going to see it on this team and all of this? It's been so long, Greg. You said it earlier. It's been a long time since we've seen Cam Newton. I'm never worried about him. I'm shook, dude. I'm shook.
Well, you know what it feels like, and this is going to be a weird comparison, but it feels like you're in high school, and like say you're a football player in high school, and you're dating the hottest, most beautiful cheerleader, the most popular girl, and it's great while you're in high school, but then y'all are both getting ready to go to college and take that next step, and you're about to go there, but she's just stupid and she can't do it. That's kind of what I feel like.
But she's gonna work at the car wash. She's gonna work at the car wash. Shit.
A bikini car wash at that.
Hey, you didn't date the hottest cheerleader? Fucking weirdos.
Right?
Man, this is Jeremy from Swansville, a.k.a. Mr. Frost. I woke up this morning, I said to myself, I'm going to have a good day. I'm not going to let last night's game bother me.
That's how I felt.
Stretch out, walk out in my living room, see my Cam Newton jersey laying there, and I just wanted to throw up.
Yep.
Oh, my God, what's going on? I got to ask myself, is this really the end of our season already? Is this what we're got to look forward to? Well, I can pull out one good thing out of it. Some major changes are coming. They're very much needed. I guess it's time to rebuild. Keep pounding.
Gosh, sad. That's sad.
You know, it's bad when I have my friend who's a Colts fan. A Colts fan trying to cheer me up and tell me, come on, guys, the season's not over. When they just lost their quarterback. I have a Colts fan trying to cheer me up.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Yeah, them's the breaks.
Oh, I knew. All right, so I've been thinking about this. I've been continuing to talk about how Cam Newton. We've heard this. We've heard shell of a man. I said this. I really believe somebody's body snatched Cam Newton. I do think there may be merit to the diet thing at this point. Now, I don't know anything about diets and all of that. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be scientific on this, but I think I messaged you and Joey this, Cody, is that Cam went from being the man, like from being a top to a bottom. That's a gay reference, right? But a top from right. He went from being an alpha to a cuck. And there's something not right about that. Like, it's something spiritual in there. And I don't know if it's testosterone. I don't know if we got to send him to the low T clinic or if it's with Kia Proctor. But I need the alpha dog back. I need the dude who just says this is, fuck it, my foot falling off, but I still am better than all y'all motherfuckers. And that's where this injury thing isn't really compelling to me, is because the guy that I know could have played with a broken leg, and I don't want him to play with a broken leg. That's not what I'm saying. But he would have been. But he would have been better than he is right now. Yeah. So tough. Go. Don't be a cuck. Lesson in life. Number 25222. Well, I guess if you're into that kind of thing, then you would retire and study architecture. But next. Here's the next call.
What's going on, guys?
I'm gonna get a beer too.
Another bad loss. Tell you what, Cody, I'll say this. I didn't want to believe you about Darrell Williams, but man, you're spot on. Like, wow, that was ugly. That was ugly. The whole game was ugly, pretty much. I actually thought Mike Shula got back into the offensive coordinator's box.
I'm telling you.
What the crap were they doing? This was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I try to back the coaches. But, I mean, after that, how can you? How can you? Anyways, Cam looked
Clear some space in your hill.
And I'm not ready to jump on the wagon of get him out of here. He's never going to be Cam Newton again, and he may not. We don't know. He's still recovering from surgeries. And I know that the excuses have ran a long time with Cam Newton, because you either get a really high Cam or a real low Cam. There's not a whole lot of in between when it comes to Cam Newton. And he either made what the crap kind of throws last night, or, now that's what I'm talking about. That's a throw right there in the NFL. But for some reason, there's no medium. There's no, I can be consistent right now. And I don't know what that is. A lot of people want to say it's because he's not running. And maybe that's the case. At the same time, you're running when the game's on the line. Good God. Anyway, right now all I know is the play call that was called the last play of the game last night was telling Pepper, hey, I'm here, fire me, because I don't know what I'm doing. You do not run that play at that part of the game. I don't care. When you got number one back there, hey, you got a broke ankle? Jump.
Yeah.
Hike the ball and fall forward like Tom Brady.
He said, if you got a broke ankle, jump.
Anyway,
that's like the last advice you give to anybody with a broke
I love
ankle.
you guys. You're always on point. And that's just my take for this frustrating game. And I hope we can turn it around. Cam Newton can somehow get consistent and start moving a little bit. And the offensive line, please block. Go ahead and put Little in, by the way, because you can't get no worse than what Darrell Williams showed last night.
That actually is what we need to talk about next. All right, big shout out to D'Angelo the Legend. You are a legend. Donating to keep the podcast going and keep growing, bringing you guys.
He asked a question. He asked me 3 times. I want to just tell him. He mentions the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who started as a running back coach. And that, honestly, Eric Bieniemy is the name I wanted at the end of last season when I was calling for Ron Rivera's job. So I'm well aware of Eric. That would probably be my first choice of coaches in the NFL right now that I know of that are going to be available. I mean, anyone coming from the Chiefs right now, I mean, they're not all Andy Reid, but I do like that they come from a progressive passing system. But thanks for the $5, man.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you for the support. Greg, the question about this, Darrell Williams, because I know both Cody and I feel passionate about or our takes on it. We don't know what the right take is, and we certainly didn't know going in to the season because we don't have the tape and the film and the whatever it is, that not the tape and the film, but the interaction like the coaches do. But what are your thoughts on Darrell Williams at left tackle and the move there and how it's working out?
I think it's not his natural position. I think he showed that last week, and he's really done a bad job. Y'all know that since I saw something today. I think it was since like 2013. Cam Newton's had a different left tackle every year.
Yeah,
which is absolutely insane to ask a quarterback to do. I think Greg Little's coming back this week, though. I just saw he was at a concussion.
But yeah,
coming back.
And everybody was talking junk about him in the preseason, this and that. But Cody, you were vocal about it. I tried to hold back. On this because I don't claim to be an X and O guy, right? I don't claim to be a guy that can see the exact. I'm a guy that what I call the eyeball test guy.
Yeah.
And that is like, I don't really know exactly what I can tell you is right or wrong, but I can tell you this is either right or wrong.
Right.
And that's how I felt with.
You can recognize bad. You just have to tell or figure out why.
Yeah. And so when it comes to that with Darrell Williams is that he was okay at right tackle. But, and I have said this over and over, on this podcast, that those numbers that Pro Bowl or whatever they said he should have made and the PFF, that I didn't see it as much as, I'm not saying he was bad that year, but I wouldn't have been like, this mug is going to dominate for the next 10 years after that season. And then on top of that, those traits that were beneficial to him on the right that were also, and the weaknesses, I felt like they could have been, I'll always have reservations in moving a right tackle to a left. I thought we had drafted Moton to be a left. That's what I thought he played in college. Maybe I was wrong about that. I thought he looked more like a prototypical. I think that Darrell Williams kind of looks like a guard at times. That
he's not agile enough to play tackle.
Right. So what are your thoughts on Darrell Williams? Because for me, I was hoping that they were going to, we said that, how many times did we say this? I hope it was going to be Greg Little, Darrell Williams, Matt Paradis, Trey Turner, Moton. That's what we thought. That's what I wanted.
And you know what? We need to, so it was obvious that Darrell Williams was just terrible on Thursday night, but we also need to.
He was okay on the first week.
We need to spread some criticism around too. I saw Trey Turner get beat up a little bit.
Yeah,
I saw Matt Paradis. Dude, there's plenty of bad to go around. Don't let Darrell Williams.
But that line was not as bad. Look, it was bad. No, it was bad, but it was enough to win. And even with Darrell Williams, I have seen worse lines for Cam Newton. I really thought. Tell me this. When you walked out, we were on the show on Thursday. We didn't even close till 3 fucking in the morning, and I had to go to work. What were we sitting here going that the real problem here was Cam Newton injury and the offensive line? I thought we just were going Cam Newton played terrible. And has that changed? Has your opinion changed since then?
Yeah, because that offensive line was not enough to do anything with. So we had a rusty Los Angeles Rams, and then a mediocre Tampa Bay defensive line where Shaquille Barrett looked like Von Miller. I mean, our offensive line. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but Daryl Williams is not agile enough to play left.
I agree with
right
that.
Tackle.
I agree.
Or right tackle. Even when he was playing right tackle, we would put Greg Olsen or Manhurst over there all the time to help him block. It doesn't matter what side he's on. You do not put Daryl Williams on an island and ask him to shut down a defensive end. He's not reliable enough to do it.
I'm sad to say this.
Inside and go with Greg Little, or I mean, come on, what are we doing here? We're gonna kill Cam Newton. We're determined as a franchise to murder whatever's left.
I'm sad to say this right now, but Justin Holbrook says this. Cam lying about his injury. He don't want to play.
A lot of people feel that way.
I mean,
you sort of feel that way, don't you?
I do. I kind of do. And I don't know if I don't know if I'm ready to say he don't want to play. What I think Cam Newton has done is lost all confidence in himself. He's gone from a dude that never questioned his confidence to a guy that doesn't remember it. And I think, and this is where I want to give Ron Rivera the pass here, guys. I truly think he doesn't know what's going on.
Yep.
And if he did, we would have more of a plan.
Well, you look at Ken D in the chat, and he's saying, "What happened to Cam? Why did he lose his passion?" We can speculate on a lot of things, but the one thing we also forget too is these are people, and after they take the jerseys off and the pads off, they go home and live a life. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes when I have something that frustrates me in one part of my life, I bring it into the other. Whether I want to or not, I bring work home sometimes.
Fantastic
and
point.
Maybe
or home to work. Or home to work. Yes, home to work.
Exactly. I'm just speculating. I don't know that, but that may be part of what's going on. Or maybe he's frustrated with the fact that he can't get protection. The fact that he can't get the play calls that he wants. There's a ton of things that could be going on, but it's obvious that he is not happy. Because when he's happy, he has that smile, that $1 million smile that everybody loves, and he hasn't had that in a while.
Here's my comment on that, is that my wife and I have been together since I was 19 years old, right? Yeah. My wife is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And we have had a remarkable relationship that has been strong 98% of the time. Right. But there has been a moment or two in that where things got turbulent, and I was shook.
Yeah.
And I went to work. Like, I physically went to work, right?
But you weren't meant to be there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I was a wreck inside. And I think that's a fantastic point. Can we just admit that these guys are not only football players, but they're also people, and there could be something. And I'm not saying that we should go and make that conclusion right away, but we should grant this, is that like, hey, if you're struggling with something in your own personal life, that affects your work life. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just, and I even said in the post-game show, when it comes to Cam Newton, if you watch the newest video, the first half of the video is about, him, talking to the hat dude.
How do you defend that?
Listen, I never ever cared before. I never.
Yes,
cared before.
I'm the same way.
Never cared before.
You had the best comment on Thursday. You can't come out like a fucking moron after the loss. Have a win. It was the best. It was the first time I got shook on the outfits.
I'm watching this video, and I'm like, Cam, I don't give a damn about what you're wearing, about what fashion you're trying to influence. Dude, I don't give a damn, man. How do you understand that right now people don't give a shit about what's going on in the fashion lobe of Cam Newton's brain, man? And that lends to people saying, is his head really into this? Does he want to do something else?
I think you're right. I cannot disagree with that, Cody. I cannot disagree with it.
If he does want to do something else, by all means, man. And listen, Lynn is shouting at the top of her lungs for us to acknowledge that he's about to have another child, apparently at any moment. listen, if his head is not in football and you don't want to put your body through it, you want to do something else, by all means. But if you're not all in and focused on just football, then this is a derailed train that we're on.
So whoever his business manager is needs to come to him and tell him he has not made it yet to the point where he can do that. And what I mean by that is you cannot, like Cam cannot quit football today and be an influencer anymore.
Right.
Like he's an influencer right now because he has been a phenomenal football player. If he can reach legendary status, then yes, he can retire and be a fashion model and do whatever the fuck he wants and we'll all follow him. But if he quits this year, guys, and goes and becomes a fashion blogger, who the hell in 2 years is going to care about Cam Newton? And I hate to say it, that's the meanest thing I've ever said about my man, but you have, with a little bit of that video, from his perspective of like this and that, and like it was very, I never gave a shit, Cody. The best way. You put it great. You put it great. I never cared. In fact, I always was like this. You should be able to dress like a woman. You should be. Look at my Cody. How did I show up to your fucking house?
With the scarf and the hat on, man. Onto Cam.
Yeah. So, no, I have never cared about it. You know what I care about now is this. The only thing I care about now is that is more intriguing to him than being great on the field. Or football. I mean, maybe not great. That's not the way I put it. Is that you have the worst fucking game of your career, professional career, collegiate career, junior college career, Pop Warner career, and you go and start the video with, oh, this was tough, me putting on my scarf. It's so hard to put on my grandma's scarf. And then all of a sudden we're fucking like, I look at magazines and I'm trying to, like, it was like, damn, Cam, like, save this video for another fucking day.
Yeah, it's tone deaf and listen, I want full Cam Newton or no Cam Newton at all. I'm not in the discount Cam Newton looking to just do just enough. I want baller Cam Newton. And if
I want alpha Cam. I want alpha Cam. I want Cam face, you know what? And
yeah, it's time.
Defenses.
If all of our fears are true, it's time to start looking for a new quarterback.
All right. God, don't say that. Oh,
hey,
yep, you're right.
Kendi in the chat. Hey, Kendi in the chat says if Kia's pregnant again, we know where Cam's head's been.
Well,
actually, no. I fully believe this is not his baby, and he watched. I really believe it, man.
Don't say that. That's a cuck, right?
Is that messed up, Cody?
I think that's his point.
Too far?
Yeah.
Too far?
I think that's his point.
That's my point. That's my point. Oh, is that what he said? Did he say it or I said it? I thought I said it, but all right. Let's go.
It's AJ again. Now that I have vented with frustration, I will just talk for a minute.
It's all right. This is your space.
Give a round of applause.
It's a safe space.
Mr. Greg Olson, shall we? Because that son of a gun, and he showed up to play last night, and I'm thankful for that. He shouldn't have to do that much, but the man still has that want to about him. You know what I'm saying?
Who's he talking about? Cam?
There's not a whole lot of positives to go, except for we've started this way before, and we turn it around, and I don't know if we're going to do it or not. I will say that. But you know what we're missing on this team? And I know before I say this, Cam is not throwing the ball good. I get it. I really do. But let's say Cam Newton is throwing the ball good. And let's say he is, even though he's not, he's sitting about 70% completion. He looks more like he did in the first half against the Rams, where he's just putting it on them in stride and stuff. You know, Cam's not comfortable right now. I don't think he trusts O-line. He hasn't played with those guys enough. And it looks like to me, when he's snapping the ball and he knows that he's not able to run yet, because his foot's still bothering him. He's planning and stepping with some throws, and he's not with others. And when he does not step with his throws and step towards the target like he's supposed to, the ball fails. It is that simple. When he steps towards the receiver when he's throwing, he makes a good throw. It is so easy. And I don't know why I'm talking like this. But anyway. Oh, yeah. So,
this is awesome. This is the best comment.
I like DJ Moore. DJ Moore is playing really good.
It's like, I don't even know why I'm making this call. I'm working through my feelings, motherfucker.
I like Curtis Samuel, but guess why I like Curtis Samuel?
Why? Tell me.
I love Curtis Samuel in the slot.
Mm.
But you know what we're missing? Like I said.
But I hate him in the you know what. In the.
Because even if he can't make the throw, at least this will be happening. Neither one of the receivers on our roster has that dog in them. That
I don't know. Maybe DJ does. DJ got it. He's just still a baby.
Necessarily while we're losing.
He's just a baby still.
That they don't have that attitude in them of you're lining up across from me, but you can't handle me. And I'm
all right, so that's an interesting point. It might be a worthy. It's a very actually I think it's a very legitimate point, because if we look at DJ Moore, the real comparison to him is Steve Smith, right? It's like, but
I think it's only because Steve Smith made that comparison.
Yeah, I'm on Greg.
You think so? Do you think so?
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Yeah, I really do.
Is that I think their games are similar. I just think I think DJ Moore's body type was like Steve Smith's when he was 5 years into the league.
Yeah.
Not year one.
Yeah.
So I think he's like year 4 Steve Smith, not year 1 Steve Smith. But the major difference between the two is this. Is like Steve Smith like grew up in like Compton or something. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he grew up in like a damn.
He did grow up in California.
I just know this. Is Steve Smith was a dog.
Yeah.
You want to talk about what we were talking about with the alpha, the beta, the cuck, and all that stuff? Steve Smith ain't ever watched nobody touch his girl's titty. Never.
No.
Ask Ken Lucas.
From Los Angeles, by the way.
Ask Ken Lucas.
Los Angeles.
But that's a good question. What do you think about that? DJ Moore, does he got the dog? Curtis Samuel, great question. Curtis Samuel, is he too smooth and not doggish enough?
No, I'll be short and sweet with this. Curtis Samuel could have had over 150 yards if some of those passes were better. And I feel bad for Curtis because, he comes back, is drafted, gets hurt, comes back, has a heart condition. Then they have to work him into the lineup, and they're playing him on limited snaps. When he does have the ball, he does look incredible. But now, in his third year, now he has all these issues at quarterback. I mean, I would say if any of our receivers had that dog in them, they haven't even had the opportunity to show you that they have it. That's my opinion. I'm a believer in Curtis Samuel. I believe he's a legitimate deep threat that you have to have in the NFL. DJ Moore has a ton of talent, but we haven't put them in a position to be able to show the full extent of their talent.
All right, next call.
Hey, Special K coming at you guys. This is what I got. Number one, Cam just not delivering the ball. We all know it. Guys were open a lot. He just wasn't delivering. Either he's totally broken physically or mentally, or he's going to bounce back.
Both.
He's going to bounce back. He's going to be moving his
God.
feet. I think he's going to be better this week. That's what I'm thinking. Number two, the play
That's
call.
what I thought, too.
What they did, they set up a spotter on CMC, just like they used to do on Cam, right? They set up a spotter and said, watch this guy. This is where the offense is running. It's running through him. Stay with him. Always somebody floats with him. They did that. Cody is just like you say. the coaches don't adjust, right? They don't adjust. Instead of doing a little sleight of hand, hey, watch McCaffrey over here. Boom, here comes Orman bowling down the middle. They don't do that. Or here comes Scarlett sneaking off to the right. They don't do that. They don't adjust when those changes happen.
This is the call of the night. This is the call of the night.
Right? They watched it, and they saw that McCaffrey always runs in between the tackles and stuff on the right-hand side. And they just shut down that right-hand side, and that made it happen. Yeah. And Ron's just standing there like a statue. He's just standing there. He's not adapting. He's not doing anything. Cam's throwing twice as accurate on the left side than he is on the right, but you still have him throwing to the right. Adapt. Adapt. Thursday,
or fucking don't throw.
Cement shoes off. He's not moving. He's got to get the cement shoes off of him. Number 4, you didn't do it last time, guys. Ice up, Dante Jackson. He's got to ice up for the next game.
What?
He's got to ice up. He's got to bring it. The defense, I love them, but they're still allowing those big plays right down the middle. Those big plays, those big running plays, they still allow it, just like it did last year. So the opposing offense knows they could do it. This is what I want you to do, Professor. I want you to put on that colorful man scarf on your head, and I want you to keep pounding, brother. Keep the faith. Thanks, guys.
Best call of the night. That's the best call of the night right there. I mean, and by the way, that call, we're in the calls right now. We're about to hit, and I'm going to play them all. And that is, we have played all of these. The calls right now are, guys, we're in the calls that are between Thursday and today. So thoughts on that?
I mean, you can tell kind of the calls that have received today's news and the calls that haven't. But I mean, you can tell. And listen, I'm just happy.
That was a great call. Look, people are happy. Yeah, people are happy with that call. Let's see what we got next. Is this the same call?
This is Tyler from Spruce Pine. I'm the caller that called about, I would say, a month ago, maybe a little longer. Got ridiculed for criticizing Cam Newton. Well, not today. Because
he's like, I'm calling
his confidence is gone.
I mean, agreed.
In general, it doesn't matter what sport that you play. If you don't have confidence, you're good for nothing.
It's also in the sport of sex. Same thing.
Is I think it's time. I think David Tepper thinks it's time to start rebuilding. I'm not saying that we're
well, you don't have any idea about that.
A little, I'm not that optimistic, honestly. But rebuild is just such a strong word. But I think when you're a new owner coming into a new franchise, David Tepper has said that he wants to follow Pittsburgh's model with where they keep a coach forever, pretty much to keep familiar faces around, I guess. Anyway, I get that. I understand that. But you also want to do that with your guys. And Rivera and Marty Herney are not his guys. So I'm not saying that Tepper is looking for a place to, I guess, fire them, saying, well, another losing season, you're gone. But this was an embarrassing performance. And if performances like this keep happening, I think Rivera's gone, I think Herney's gone, and I think Cam's gone because Cam's contract's coming up. And
that's a good call. This is a good call.
Next year, if he keeps playing like this all season, they may say goodbye
Susan's in the house
this off season, and we may have to deal with 2 years of a sucky team to get a top 5 draft pick to get a quarterback in the draft. I'm not saying that's what David Tepper's plans are, but I'm saying that it's a possibility. But it's frustrating, man. I expected this year to be a decent year. I would have never expected Cam Newton to play like he did last time. But, it is what it is. It sucks, but we're used to going through trying times as Panther fans, so we're just going to have to endure some more. But anyways, thanks, guys. Keep pounding.
Look, my man said he got ridiculed on the podcast, but this is a good call right there. That's a good call. It's a legitimate call right there. At the end of the day, How does Tepper deal with this? Really important, and it's going to be hard to tell.
I've been
Hey guys,
saying.
it's Tyler again. I just had some more to add.
Come on, Tyler.
There's
I'm
a lot
going
to process
to
after this game,
bounce
but
you
one
out of
thing
this
I want
one.
to talk about is a coaching change, and I really think that is a huge possibility in the future. I think it will be after the season ends, but let's face it, Norv Turner, I'm not saying that he was bad, because a lot of those plays could have been executed.
They worked. That's where I'm not bad on. I'm not down
I
on.
think we're outdated. I think that Norv Turner's system worked in the 90s and early 2000s, maybe.
All right, I'm gonna shut this call down there, not because it's a bad call, but because it's 11:40 and we got to keep going. But the question is, there, Cody, I'll give that to you. You have been very critical of Norv Turner.
Yeah.
I am on the opposite realm. And the reason I am that is that how can you truly judge anybody when you can't do basic things? And here is that is where I've been weirded out by the Cam Newton injury. Is this, if Cam Newton is truly injured, is it foot? Is it arm? Is it foot arm? Is it hand foot mouth? Like every kid gets, you know? That was a joke. But the point being is like you should ultimately be able, as an offensive quarter, to somewhat say, all right, my guy's limited. We're not going to be running RPOs a lot. We're going to try to do it a different way. My guy can't throw down the field. We're not going to. Cam can't just, in the last game, he couldn't do regular shit. It would be like this. It would be like if you said this, is the offensive coordinator was bunk as a motherfucker, and he told the guy to hand the ball off, and he ate a sandwich.
But listen, we're having two different conversations, because we're not disagreeing that Cam Newton was trash on Thursday night. But we're not judging Norv Turner based on one performance. We're basing it on
two?
the man Norv Turner. We're basing it on
two
Norv
performances.
Cam's performance.
Two. You're judging it on two. You can't go.
I'm not. I'm judging it on Norv Turner with the Chargers, Norv Turner with the Cowboys, Norv Turner that was.
He won like 2 Super Bowls with the Cowboys.
Okay, and what has he done since then, though? And then he went to Minnesota, and at Minnesota he ended up quitting the job
because he had Sam Bradford. Wouldn't you quit if you had Sam Bradford? I would quit too.
No, they had Bridgewater. Before Bridgewater got hurt. My point is this. Norv Turner is not some offensive mastermind. Norv Turner isn't out thinking Wade Phillips on defense. Norv Turner has never been that, and it seems that now that he's under Ron Rivera, who at one point in time, Ron Rivera was under him, I believe in San Diego, you know, now you have a system where Ron Rivera never makes adjustments. And now Norv Turner is, you know, content with having a game plan and adhering to that game plan forever and never changing it. I'm not a believer in Norv Turner. He's never given us a reason to believe in him based on his other times with other teams. And now I'm not a believer in Norv Turner.
Next call.
Hey guys, Josh from Math. I've had a couple days and a long drive home to really sort my thoughts on Thursday night's performance. And while I think a lot of us are ready to shoot Cam in the head, and rightfully so, you have to excuse the noise. I'm walking my dog. I think Thursday night was a culmination of a few problems, right? Listen, hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah.
So it was a short week after putting up what was a pretty goddamn good fight against the Rams. But I also feel like there's very conservative play calling. Come on, bud. Going on. And I don't think Cam's foot is healed fully after what happened. And I think the heat had a part in it as well. You know, it was a hot, humid night. Not making excuses. It's just a matter of what happened. You know, and then the O-line letting not only Cam but the entire offense down. That doesn't help either. So I think it was just really a combination of factors, all kind of compiling with the fact that it's a short week, and historically, we don't perform on short weeks. We don't perform on Thursday night. And I'm not just talking about last year on Thursday against the fucking Steelers. I'm talking historically, we just don't do well. For a laundry list of reasons. You know, so after a couple days and a long car ride to think about it, yes, Cam's to blame for some of this, but I think the play calling, the heat, and the fact that he's not fully healed are major factors in why the performance is what it was. And I'm about 10 seconds out from my time limit cut out, so I'll be calling you back in a minute.
Well, you're gonna skip. We're gonna skip you. All right, because we're regressing back into Thursday. Josh from Mass, you're the man, but it's like 12 o'clock. We're gonna skip a couple calls.
Hey, what's up, fellas? This is AJ again. I know I called a few days ago. I already had 2 calls. So now it's the third. But anyway, man, I've been laughing so hard from this morning just listening to the post-game show. Like, y'all had me going. But anyway, I just want to call because I said this to someone a few days ago, and I haven't really got it out there too much. But with Cam Newton, you know, he's having some big-time issues right now. And, well, he's getting burnt for the way he's dressing. Cody, you were right. You don't go to the podium like that after a just poor performance. But anyway, I'm going to get off that. You know, one thing we got to consider with Cam right now, I know he's not running, and I really don't know why. I don't know if maybe it still is hurting him. I don't know. But anyway, you know, with him changing his throwing mechanics, you know, we got, and I hate to say this, I hate to be this person, but you've got to give this man time to hone in on his mechanics of his new throwing delivery. I mean, it's nothing, it's similar to, you know, a golfer changing their golf swing. I mean, it takes like a year before they get that right. Or a NBA player, college player changing their jumper. It takes time. And Cam really hasn't thrown that much. I mean, he's worked on it, but he hasn't really worked on it. I know he's never been the most accurate passer, but at the same time, even when Cam was at his best here, we always had garbage receivers that would drop the ball anyway. Nobody ever talked about that hardly, but I mean, with that being said, that's all I'm saying is that, you know, maybe he just, it's all in his head because he's changed and he's trying to stay in that movement that he's doing, and it's just not working. And until it clicks, I think this is just what we're going to see. And that's all I got. All right, let's see what happens this week against Arizona. Maybe we can jump up on them. I don't know. We better get to Kyle Murray because he's just pulling crap out of his tail lately. Anyways, all right, man. Later.
All right. Last call tonight.
Hello, CP3 Pod. What's
Colton,
up, fellas?
what's up, brother?
What's up, Professor? What's up, Cody? And our guests, and anyone else member of the CP3 fam. This is Carl D. calling. I called last week, Tony.
Carl's my soul brother.
I missed the show, but when I was watching the replay, I'm not sure if my call went through. But anyway, I'm calling in tonight. I'm gonna start doing a segment that I'm gonna start calling Cardi's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. My good is, well, the only really good in that Tampa Bay game to me was Burns. I'll pick, yeah. I mean, defense to me didn't do that good, but Burns was a bright spot on there. So, I mean, once again, Burns getting another sack. That's the good. Now, let's go to the bad. The bad is going to be the defense. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, the defense did good." I wouldn't say the defense did that good. The reason the defense get a bad, one, the pass rush was not really that consistent, and the run, once again, defense getting gashed by runs. It just seems like every team's running back we played this last year just seems to be 100-yard rusher on us. I don't know why. But anyway, and also the bad for the defense, Jameis Winston with 100% passer rating. Are you kidding me? And the defense get a pass? Oh, no.
Your boy Jonte got burned. All right. That's it.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to end the calls for tonight on that. I mean, because he's probably coming back. Actually, I think that's it. That's it. There's been 25 calls. We may have went through 22 of them, guys. What a tremendous show so far. We're talking, and I know you guys are like, tremendous being long as shit. But we've gone 3 hours, and you know what? People have been engaged the whole time. They've been in the chat room. They've been calling to Cat Calls Line. They've been smashing that thumbs up button. And I am so thankful that people will hang out with us through thick or thin and deal with this. Because guess what we're going to do? We're going to keep pounding. That's very simple as this. As the Panthers can win 0 games for the rest of the season. And guess where we're going to be at on Tuesday nights? Hanging out here. Figuring it out. Do we like what's going on? Hell no. Do we want Cam Newton to be done? Nope. We want Cam Newton hoisting that Lombardi more than anybody, don't we, Cody?
Absolutely, man. That's why we'll run long, almost 3 hours, talking about it over and over, telling how much we love Cam Newton, but just trying to listen. We're navigating these murky waters just like all of you are, man. We want the best for our team, the best for our quarterback. And we're going to be here every Tuesday night and after the game to do exactly what we're doing right now.
All right, quick picks. Greg, who the heck? Obviously, we play the Cardinals this week. Who do you got? Because last week, and the reason I asked this, and I'm putting you on the spot, is we did all our picks last week. Cody was ahead of us. Cody was 3-0 after last week. Tony was 2-1. Greg 1-2. Things have changed since then. I haven't calculated it yet, but who do you got? Panthers versus Cardinals.
You have no volume, Greg. I don't know what.
Cody, you go. Cody, who do you got?
Yeah. So, listen, I'm gonna keep it 100. If we're starting with Kyle Allen, I don't know. I don't. How can I pick this offense to do what's necessary to win when I haven't seen enough from Kyle Allen? I'm gonna go 21-17 Arizona.
God, how do you do that on this podcast? I do not know.
It's not what I want, but it's what I think.
Right. I mean, this is tough. Hobble Cam versus, and one of the things that I think about in this game, I'm actually with you, Cody. I think you might be right for this reason, is that I secretly wanted to pick the Falcons against the Eagles. Right? Because Well, because I fucking hate the Falcons.
Alright.
And the Eagles I thought were better, and then people were hating, you know what I'm saying? So I do let my emotion dictate my picks. I do. Like, I have these kind of, but I also think they're kind of hunches. And I think that, and my hunches here is that, like, the Panthers win this game, and then maybe something good comes out of it down the road. But the Panthers lose this game, and it's fucking a wash, brother.
Yep. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
No. Yep.
So I don't want to do this. I don't know. Is that Kyle Allen in this defense? I'm going to say they pull it out. I'm going to pick the Panthers because I'm not giving up yet. But I fully 100% understand your position, Cody. Greg, who you got?
I'm 1-5 this season so far in our little pool, so I'm not doing very well. But I think I'm going to take the Panthers in this one too, just because I'm a homer. And
yeah, I think our defense wins this. What we continue to say is that hey, actually Kyle Allen could have won against the Bucs, not because he's better than Cam, but a couple of complete passes actually help us so much.
Or quarterback sneak. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who are the Falcons playing? Does anybody know?
I'm looking at that right now.
Thank you, because I didn't look at it.
They're playing the Colts.
I got the Falcons. I think the Falcons are about to turn around stuff, sadly. Is that people keep telling me that they don't see a lot on their team. I'm picking the Falcons. I think they do have a lot of talent on their team. They just have not had chemistry yet. I think they start to... Last week was their effort, like we have seen with the Panthers, where we have said so many times, you have to learn how to win. And I think the Falcons learned last week. I'm picking the Falcons. And it's easy because it's Colts.
Greg, who you pulling for, man? Or who you have?
I'm actually going to take the Colts in this one. I think Bridgewater. Brisket.
Brisket. I love Brisket. Brissett.
They call him Brisket on the ATL podcast. So
I love it. That's fine. Let's go with it.
Yeah. I think he's an underrated. I guess starter now. He's not a backup anymore.
Yeah,
and they have a couple weapons with Marlon Mack and T.Y. Hilton. I think, and they have a pretty decent defense. So
they kind of put up some fight, didn't they, in the last couple of weeks?
They're a decent team, man. They got a decent shot of winning that division.
I hate them.
So,
all right. Well, I also hate the Falcons, so I hope you're right. I got the Falcons. Cody, you got?
Yeah, I have the no, my bad. I have the Colts 28-27.
I'm making a game up.
Falcons are going to be winning the whole game, and the Colts are going to come back at the last minute at home, take a field goal, and win.
Just like last week, yeah.
Who's Tampa Bay got?
Tampa Bay's got the Giants.
Oh God, Daniel Jones first start. Where's it at? Is it in Tampa or is it in New York?
In New York, I believe.
I'm taking the Giants.
No. Actually, there's no way it's in New York. That can't be three away games for Tampa Bay
really?
To start out. It's got to be in Tampa Bay.
Check it. Somebody check. I'll check it. You guys, who you got? I got the Giants so far. If it's at home.
Yeah, I'm
it's Giants at Bucks.
Giants at
it's which actually their home field advantage is 0.
Yeah. You know what? I might take Tampa.
I think I'm with you. I think Tampa catches some momentum with us. I'm with you.
27-24 Tampa Bay.
Giants Ken D says Giants at Bucks 3-3 tie. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome right there. Greg, who you got?
You know what? Just 'cause I'm so far behind y'all, I got to go Giants. Just because, I got to catch up.
You cannot do that. It's so early. Oh, that's
it's
panic.
So early, but I'm already
Panic. I'm with Cody.
They've got some weapons. They can win this game.
Maybe. I'm with Cody. I think they catch win there. All right.
Then we have Saints at Seahawks.
Yeah. Ugh. There's another game. I'm going Seahawks. The Seahawks are always good. Those assholes, no matter how putrid their offensive line is, no matter how terrible all their free agent, whatever it is, they are still in games every week. Yeah. Every week they're in it. Every week. I'm going Seattle Seahawks. I think I picked against them. Did they beat the Bengals last week?
They did.
And I was like, the Bengals I picked the Bengals. I'm done picking against the Seahawks. I picked the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to go Seattle. I'm going to say 27-17.
Okay. We'll do a clean sweep. I'll say Seattle too. And it hurts me to say that because my thing with Seattle is, and everybody, at me at the Bet 852 about this. I know people are going to be pissed. Russell Wilson is what Cam Newton was supposed to be. I'm sorry, but he is. He's
he's less than Cam Newton was supposed to be.
I've been a Russell Wilson defender. I think he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not a Russell Wilson hater.
Yeah, he's a top 5 quarterback every year, no matter what he has.
He's a baller, hands down.
Yeah, he really is.
Then you actually are a Christian, Cody.
I'm a Christian?
Yeah, turns out you believe in Jesus because Russell Wilson has been assisted by Jesus the entire time. He loves Jesus. He throws up prayers, and they were answered. So Cody became a Christian on this show. I'm telling
Baptized in the water, baby.
Told you. That is actually a funny ending. We got to do this. We got to get to our
ice up
picks. All right. My ice up pick, I'm going to go first. My ice up pick goes to this guy. His name is, you can find him on Twitter
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to.
At Tobin, Tobbin, Israel. Like, at Tobin, Israel. So I guess his name is Tobin Israel, or he's Jewish. Either way, this is not anti-Semitic, folks. His other name is Picture Me Trolling. And don't worry, I didn't have to picture you trolling, asshole. I saw you trolling. I put up a tweet that said this, is that it may be time for the Panthers to call cap. And then somebody said, hey, honestly, there's zero downside in it. I mean, Jesus, what the hell is going to happen? And this is what my man said. He said, yeah, brilliant. Let's call a guy that used, and by the way, he said a capital, a guy that, and he should have said who used to be. So there's my second ISO pick. Let's call a guy that used to suck and hasn't played in 2 years and bring him into an offense that takes 2 years to learn. Casual fans are clowns. Number one is this. It don't take no fucking 2 years for an NFL quarterback to learn Norv Turner's offense. It's all crossing routes and fucking stretch one way. Like, shut up. Number two. Calling me a casual fan really fucking irritated me on the day that Cam Newton fucking basically announced that he was mentally broken. This fucked with me today, guys. I was so angry. I was like, motherfucker, casual fan? Have you not seen my profile pic where I'm fucking dressed as Auntie Cam? Is that casual, mug? Have you not seen that I paid $250 a ticket and brought my wife and all this, and we were on the Jumbotron on Fox and all this in 2012 when we played Peyton Manning? We got carved the fuck up. Have you not seen that my wife bought me a Cam Newton jersey before my man ever played a snap? Like it was the best fucking gift I ever had. So to you, asshole, if I'm a casual fan, then your fat ass is sitting on your couch eating Cheetos in your underwear, fucking watching bullshit XFL, AFL. Screw you. I'm not a casual fan. If this is a casual fan, it's been 3 hours, bitch ass. We've been talking about the Carolina Panthers for 3 hours.
You didn't even say anything about your show either with
yes,
being a casual fan.
Exactly. Jesus Christ. If this is casual, I don't know what is serious. So to you, sir, and and here's the real ISO pick. I forgot to bring the truth, guys, in his profile, it says, I am an anti-social justice warrior. What the fuck does that mean, man?
Yeah.
You hate social justice? Is that what that means? I'm anti-social justice? That's like saying I hate truth. I hate love. I hate... Do you hate when things go right? Do you hate when you see wrongs go righted? You're like this.
Stop letting people not help.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like this. I love how that guy got fucked. I love how he got fucked up. Yeah, love it. Love it. So to you, asshole, ice up.
Nice up.
Greg, you want to jump in?
I can take the next one.
I just drank a 9% beer before that, so I'm feeling it.
Well, let me drink.
Mm-hmm.
Let me crack this one open because for me, I've been thinking about this all week. Or not all week, for a couple days. Well, I guess all week because week started Sunday. I am icing up. I don't know if y'all watched the Eagles-Falcons game on Sunday. Great game, fun to watch. Just because Sunday Night Football, it's the only thing you're going to watch. I'm icing up Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, who commentated that game, because I'm watching this game, and throughout this whole game, I've got to sit through them talking about how great Carson Wentz is doing, what a great player he is. Same with Matt Ryan. Oh my gosh! And one point where Al Michaels, where Carson Wentz throws his first touchdown in the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, I can't remember. But at that point, he's like 7 for 19 for less than 100 yards and throws his first touchdown. And Al Michaels says, I can't wait to watch the replay of this game later when they're doing the slow motion with the music, talking about how great these players are. What the hell is he talking about? If Cam Newton does that, they're trashing him the whole time. And then Chris Collinsworth, when Matt Ryan throws the interception in the end zone, and Chris Collinsworth says, oh, something must have happened. There's no way Matt Ryan would ever do something like that. He wouldn't make a throw like that into triple coverage and throw an interception in the end zone.
Yeah, he would. He does it every week, asshole. Every week.
Why do these players get the privilege to not be criticized for that kind of stuff, but Cam Newton doesn't? Like, you look at their stats. Matt Ryan was 27 of 43, which is not much better than 50%. And Carson Wentz was 25 of 43, which is not much better than 50%.
Bring this truth, Greg.
Less yards than Cam Newton did. And both of them threw more than 2 interceptions. But nothing is said about that. So to Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, ice the hell up, man, because that is garbage.
And I like those dudes. I'm not going to lie. Actually,
I like those.
I'm one of the few people that likes Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, I do too. I like him too.
I'm one of the few. People hate him. But, all right, Cody, who you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here and just cast a very wide net. To every general manager in the NFL right now that doesn't seem to understand the concept of putting talented players around your rookie quarterback. I'm looking at Deshaun Watson running for his life. We just had Ed on tonight talking about Kyler Murray not being defended by a trash offensive line. And now Panther fans are at a moment that we have feared forever, where we are questioning the future of Cam Newton as a football player. And that was a doomsday scenario before the start of this season. And now it's staring us right in the face. If you're a general manager or an owner that does not understand how to protect the talented football players that people will buy tickets to watch and come and support and watch on television, if you're not doing your due diligence for your quarterback, you're making the NFL a worse place. To everyone that has underserviced Cam Newton in his time being here, I wish you a cold ice up song.
That's awesome. I heard Roman Harper say this when someone brought up the stat about like Cam's played with 7 different left tackles over the last 7 years. Roman Harper was on the team 2 years ago, right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
3.
And he, oh, is it okay? So was Chris Clark last year? He must have been. He said this. They said, and Chris Clark and Roman Harper said, "Who's that?" Like, damn.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Same, brother. That's what we were saying. All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. It's 3 hours plus of the best Panthers talk that you would get or not get had you not listened. You can listen to the team website, and they put out a podcast intermittently. But these jokers, these three jokers right here, are bringing it to you on Tuesdays live, and we keep going. We keep going until you will not listen anymore. We keep going until you listen more. That's my thing. We keep going until you listen more. My name's Tony Dunn. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Call into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. Think about buying a shirt. Look, we got these Keep Pounding shirts on. They're pretty dope. Let me ask you this, Greg. Are they cheap? Wait. The price, not the price. I didn't mean that. Does it feel cheap on your body?
No, yeah, I know what you meant. No, definitely. I have two of the I have two of one shirt, then I have one of the I Stand With Cam shirts. I have one of the C3 repeats, and now this new one. So I have 5 altogether. I love these shirts. They are so comfortable, and I get tons of people ask me about them whenever I wear them out because they're one of a kind shirts. So I definitely recommend. It's well worth the money. Great t-shirts. Actually, just join the Fantasy League, and then you want to worry about buying one. It's part of the entry fee. So,
all right, Cody, where can they find you?
At CODYLAC on Twitter. Listen, whenever there's football, Panthers football, just about any kind of football, I'm probably live tweeting it and talking a bunch of shit. So,
are you going to keep coming on the show if it's this long?
You know what, man? I mean, so many people know who I am now and hit me up, and I've met so many cool people. You know what? Fuck it, man. Let's go another hour, dude. I'm down.
Damn right. You said it. All right, Greg. Tell them where they can find you, and I'm ready to come on your show, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dude, that almost didn't sound right.
It almost didn't.
I'm going to come on Cody first. I'm going to come on Cody first, and then I'm going to go on your show. Yeah. You're right. That was a little It was a little, you do the C-O-M, not the C-U-M, brother. The drunkenness.
You can find me at the Bad Daddy 52 on Twitter. I also run another podcast. It is the Super Civil Servants Podcast. It's at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter. The professor is going to be with me this weekend, and it is going to be a super Civil Servants Podcast because I'm going to have a mailman, a garbage man, a professor, and a principal on the show, and we're going to be talking about a 1990s Ninja Turtles movie. So,
what's better than that, brother?
Kind of stuff, check us out. Check us out. We're going to have a great time. It might be kind of a 2.5-hour show for us too, but it's a fun time. Hit us up.
I am taking notes. I'm ready to go on the show. I'm ready. All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next Tuesday night. Remember, thumbs up, share, subscribe, grow Panther Nation. And I won't say it's going to be all right, but we'll be here with you throughout it all.
Keep pounding.
Pound it, folks.
If I can